Greetings and salutations. I'm the fallen angel Christopher Daniels.
This is NXT superstar Dexter Loomis.
This is the former intellectual savior of the masses, now known as Aaron Stevens, your NWA third-degree national champion.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you, the people of YouTube.
You are watching Good Mic Work Commentaries, the work of a hard-working fellow by the name of Greg Morgan, 10-year veteran here on the YouTube scene.
You know, this guy who runs this YouTube channel, he's a 10-year YouTube vet.
I know you've been a fan for like 40 years. I've only been doing it for 30, so I guess we're fans together there for 10 of it.
This is Darby Allin, and you're watching the Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentary. Yeah, you better watch this channel. You better watch all the videos.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
Check them out.
If you don't, we're gonna have a problem.
You're welcome.
SummerSlam 2020 is in the books. Our first major pay-per-view inside of the Thunderdome, and I got to tell you, man, it delivered. I thought it was a pretty good show. Oh, shit, I forgot to open up my cabinet door so I can show off my shit there. Anyway, SummerSlam, what do you guys think? I'm giving it a good grade. I really do. I think tonight's show was very solid. Without me really looking at SmackDown on Friday night that closely, other than a few clips on YouTube, this was my first really like Thunderdome experience, and I gotta tell you, man, it is a billion times better than the Performance Center. I know it's still not the same, you know, it's still an audienceless show, technically, you know, live audienceless show, but man, does this add just so much more. Still getting mixed reviews from a lot of people, but overall, how in the world can you possibly think that the PC was better than this, you know? Gave you some sort of a feeling of normalcy, even though, you know, we're still far from that, and it felt more like a regular pay-per-view, just with the setup and everything, and I just liked the feel of it, and I thought for the most part tonight, the matches all came through. I didn't really see a bad match on the show. Probably the worst match in the ring, like the actual wrestling match, was probably the main event, was Strowman and The Fiend. Everything else really delivered. This was a weekend of good wrestling. We're going to have a lot to talk about here as we go through the matches. I thought, you know, all the women tonight did fantastic, especially Mandy and Sonya and Asuka, Sasha, and Bayley. They all delivered. Little Dominic Mysterio, we knew that kid was money. He proved it tonight. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre even just had a solid in-ring match, which I really appreciated because other than Mandy and Sonya, it was only those two matches. It was Mandy, Sonya, and Drew and Orton were the only two matches that were just like straight up one-on-one matches. Everything else had tons of outside interference or stipulations or whatever. We had hair matches, no DQ matches, false count anywhere matches, lots of matches with people in other people's corners. So we really only got two matches where it was just straight up, you know? And I thought they delivered as well. So overall, I'm giving tonight a good grade. Much like we did last night, I'll kind of reserve my letter grade for the end, but I'm going B. I gave TakeOver last night like a good hard B+. So maybe right now in my head I'm going B on this show. The only thing that we didn't get is some sort of crazy swerve. I mean, even at the end with Roman Reigns showing up, that's something that we all speculated on within the past couple of weeks. So it's not like it took all of us by surprise. I was really hoping to legitimately see something we didn't see coming. The Roman thing, you could argue you did see it coming because we've heard rumblings of him maybe making a return. Now that WWE is advanced their protocols and their precautions and everything like that with the virus, and now that they're in a much larger arena, could be enough to lure Roman Reigns back in, and that's exactly what happened. He showed up with what was seemingly a new attitude, not 100% sure, but he popped up in the end of the main event there and beat the hell out of both guys and did a lot of trash talking while he was doing it, and that's something that we also speculated on recently, that when and if Roman Reigns comes back, we need to see like a new attitude Roman. You know, I just don't want him to go right back to being who he was, because that will grow stale very, very quickly. So if we get this new attitude Roman, somebody that's just not taking any shit and ass kicking, that's what I like to see. I like to see that vicious streak. Roman can be good when he's vicious, and we saw a lot of that tonight, and glad to see him back. Really, really happy that Roman Reigns is back with the company. So I guess that is the big surprise that we were going to get. We knew we had to get a return or some sort of a title change or swerve or something. And all the way up until the main event, we got none of that. We had no retribution, no big angle dropping, even with the Mandy and Sonya stuff. So many people were, trying to predict some sort of a briefcase cash-in involving one of the ladies. We didn't get any of that. So as the show went on, we were getting nothing too crazy. So we knew we had to get something at the end, and I suppose I'm happy the way it went down. The Fiend is your new Universal Champion, by the way, defeating Braun Strowman in the main event, and then Roman came and laid out everybody, stealing everybody's thunder. So I don't know what that means for the Fiend or Braun Strowman. I think maybe it could possibly mean that they team up now that Roman is back. But I don't know. We didn't even see Alexa Bliss in the main event. I thought that was extremely obvious to a lot of us that we would see her, and she didn't appear either. So some of the things we were expecting we didn't see, and some of the things we were expecting we did. And there's a couple of cases tonight where I think predictable was best, and we'll talk about that as well. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a fabulous night, man. Pretty good fucking weekend, was it not? I thought last night's TakeOver was good. Tonight's SummerSlam was solid. And despite the fact that we're dealing with this pandemic and COVID, this Thunderdome helps. It's weird. I ain't going to deny that. It's weird having all those faces and everything around, but it had much more of a real, actual pay-per-view feel. This felt more like a regular event than a COVID-era event, just based on the setup and stuff. So I think that's a positive, and it might make wrestling more tolerable, at least for a little while longer, until, if this ever goes away or not. But until then, I think the Thunderdome is a major upgrade, and it allows WWE to now book pay-per-views as they would before, instead of trying to wait or pause things or wait till an audience comes back. This gives it a much more business-as-usual feel, where doing that in the PC, I feel like we just lost 6 months. Are we ever going to go back and watch pay-per-views from this era? Hell no. But maybe with this Thunderdome, they can create some memories here, and they might have done that tonight. So, good SummerSlam, given the circumstances. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe if this was in front of a live audience and we matched it up and compared it to previous SummerSlams, like in the last 3, 5, 6 years, maybe it wouldn't match up as good, but considering what kind of times we're in right now, and the huge disappointment that this year's WrestleMania was, I thought tonight's SummerSlam delivered about as well as possible. I saw a couple of comments tonight on Twitter about the show was just meh, or not as good as I wanted it to be, or it sucks. And all I can respond there and ask is, what the hell did you want? I mean, one thing I will say tonight: the talent killed themselves, and to shit on that, I think, is like kind of disrespectful. I mean, I don't know really. I mean, the outcomes of the matches were fine. I can't see why anybody would complain about Asuka winning a title or getting that belt off of Strowman, or Dominic impressing all of us in his debut match, and a lot of good stuff tonight. There just really was. So I don't know. It goes back to what I was saying a little bit last night. I was kind of bitching a little bit about modern fans, and it feels like they can't be impressed no matter what. They can't be appreciative, and I think tonight was at least a night to where the talent came through. Maybe we would have booked some of these matches a tiny bit differently, but in terms of what they gave us, I certainly don't look at this as a letdown at all, at least in my mind. But we'll see how the opinions go. Give me your thoughts. Give me your takes in the chat. Give me a letter grade. Give me a 1 through 10, 1 out of 10 grade. Give me anything you want to tell me about the pay-per-view and what you thought of it. And if you really, truly did think it sucked, please, goddamn, give me some reasons, because I didn't see too much negative on this pay-per-view. Well, not perfect, but certainly wasn't a shit show, And I think we're lucky, like we can breathe a sigh of relief now that we've got our first full weekend in the Thunderdome. This will continue tomorrow night. We'll see our first Raw in the Thunderdome, and it's just better. It's just much better. Still not the same, but we talked about this way back in the beginning of the year when it first started. Should they line up LED boards around and do like a virtual audience? And people like, no, that would suck. But after 5 months of the Performance Center, that idea didn't sound as crazy anymore, and WWE went and spent the money and did it. So, all in all, solid. Look, you guys are all giving it B's, B pluses, 8.5 out of 10. Wow, you're being generous. As much as I like the show, I don't know if I'll go as high as 8.5. I might go 8 though. I could probably give it 8. Yeah, we're going to talk about these matches individually here as we go on. For those of you who are here right now, I'd really appreciate it if you would smash that thumbs up button. If you're here and you're a new watcher or listener, please subscribe. I'm here every single Monday doing Monday Night Raw reviews after the show. I'm up after every pay-per-view. I've got a podcast every Saturday right here on YouTube, and I hit you guys with a whole bunch of other fun stuff, classic retro pay-per-view reviews, Q&As, shit like that. So stick around. You will like it. This is an awesome channel with a bunch of awesome listeners. And if you're trying to get away from all the craziness and the toxicness and the negative parts of YouTube and the IWC, this is a good place for you to hang out because we're not assholes over here. It's very easy to find assholes on YouTube, but you're not going to stumble across anybody being one on this channel because we're awesome. So anyway, that is that. I'm going to bust out a few of these super chats right off the bat, and then we'll dive into the match-by-match results here of SummerSlam. I know I got a bunch rolling in, so let me scroll back up here at the top and start from there. Taylor Moyes, good to see you. Appreciate the $2. Glad Drew won. 66th roll-up win since March, but that wasn't a roll-up. That was a backslide, and I always mark out for backslides because it reminds me of the Kerry Von Erich Ric Flair title match from '84 when Kerry won the title. And I kind of liked the finish, you know, and I saw a lot of fans complaining about it. I wanted to get backslide trending, you know, that's just such an old school move. And to see a finish like that in a title match in 2020 isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. You know how I always complain about WWE doing entrance music for like every single run-in and how stupid that is and how unrealistic it is? You know, if your bro, your buddy, or your wife, or your tag team partner, or whoever is in the ring getting their ass kicked, are you really going to wait for your music to play to run out there and save them? It's fucking dumb, man. And like sometimes it can be useful, but most of the time you don't need it. And I don't really think that every single title match needs to end with a finisher. Why not just have a little roll-up or a backslide or something like that at SummerSlam? Kind of tells a story there in itself when Randy Orton's talking about he's the greatest wrestler ever and he's the best of all time. And then Drew is able to catch him and pin him down for a 3 count, and this opens up the door for a rematch, which you can do, and Randy can maybe eat the Claymore there. But I didn't see any problem whatsoever with the finish of the Orton-Drew match because, you know, at least it was different. We were all expecting a Claymore counter into an RKO or an RKO counter into a Claymore for the win here, and instead we just got a backslide. Why not? What's the worst that can happen out of that, you know? Good wrestling match, so whatever. All right, let me go down here and nail the next one. Nathan Hansen, good to see you as well. Appreciate the $2. What if they get another COVID outbreak? Let's just hope they don't. I know that they're testing all the time. Roman is there now. He obviously feels comfortable being there. He wouldn't be there if he didn't. So it's kind of his choice, his decision. And I think WWE's precautions and all their testing now is much better than at first. You know, it felt like they were really dropping the ball and not taking it seriously. I don't think that's the case anymore. And Roman feels comfortable. If he does, I'm in support of it. I can't really criticize him either way. It's his life, you know what I mean? WWE fan, appreciate the $2 as well. Still watching, started late, spoil everything. Sorry. Don't watch me then. If you haven't watched the pay-per-view, do not watch me. I got the winners on the fucking screen here and in the thumbnail, and I'm talking about it. Appreciate you hanging out, though, WWE fan. And I'm sorry if I spoiled anything, but that ain't my fault. George Morris, appreciate it, dude. Thanks for the $5. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? A stray cat came in my apartment and won't leave. Now I have 3 cats. SummerSlam 0 out of 10 and nothing. Paul Steed. Okay, who the hell's Paul Steed? 0 out of 10. That is harsh, George Morris. Harsh, man. Well, I hope you're not as mean to that 3rd cat as you are to SummerSlam. Devlin, good to see you, man. Appreciate the 5. This may be the best pay-per-view during this pandemic era. I agree. I'm kind of hoping Roman is behind Retribution. That shirt kind of made me think he is. Yeah, he had a shirt. What did it say? It's kind of like Arrive, Raise Hell, Leave, but it was something else. Wreck people and then leave or some shit like that. And I had tweeted during the main event, I was like, ooh, one last-minute idea. I was like, what if... Because up until the main event, we saw no Retribution. We saw no Otis. We saw no nothing. And I'm like, we got to get a surprise, right? So what if, like, they cut backstage right after the match and Retribution has got a hold of Mandy and they're threatening to tear her arms off, right off of her body, unless Otis gives their leader the briefcase. And that leader is still in a hood, and Otis is like, okay, and he hands the briefcase to the leader, and they let go of Mandy Rose. You cut back to the arena, and Roman's music plays. He comes out, takes the hood off. He's got the briefcase, goes in the ring, cashes in. I would have loved to see that. This could be something similar if Roman does turn out to be the leader of Retribution because he seemed pissed off, did he not? After he beat those guys down, he was laying over the Fiend. He goes, you're just a placeholder. You're nothing. It's my belt. It's always been my belt. This is my house, my company. I'm the man here. All that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't put that past WWE to make that a reality. I just kind of think a reveal tonight would have been awesome considering it was SummerSlam. And again, many people would not have seen that coming. Who's next here on the Super Chat department? And then we'll get into these results. Super Fluffy Toaster, appreciate the 7. Not much, but just thought I'd donate considering how much content you provide. Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. You've been around for many years. And don't worry about it. I just want your view and your like and your subscription. You give me that, I'm a happy guy. Zane, I appreciate the $5 as well. Keith Lee on Raw. Who will he feud against? That's right. They made the announcement tonight that Lee will be showing up tomorrow night on Raw. So will Aleister Black, who has been invited by Kevin Owens to be a guest on the Kevin Owens show. So that could be interesting as well. I don't know. Keith Lee going to Raw. I'm still nervous. I didn't hear any more news about Karrion Kross today as it relates to his shoulder and stuff. So, they're going ahead with moving Keith Lee to Raw regardless of what his injury status is. I kind of thought if he had to be out, they might keep Keith Lee around in NXT. But in terms of him going to Raw, I don't know yet. I don't know if he'll be put right into title position or they'll give him a weird feud first just to beat somebody. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Stone Cold, appreciate the $5. No retribution because maybe the leader Roman was in the ring. Exactly. We just talked about that. Joey G, thank you for the $5 as well. Better match, Flair Steamboat at Clash or Flair HBK 24. Flair Steamboat at Clash, but Flair and HBK at 24 had the drama, the better drama. Luigi, appreciate the 3. The Friends Kryptonite is the spear. Oh, the Fiend's Kryptonite is the spear. Yeah, you're kind of right, especially with what Goldberg did to him in Saudi Arabia. All right, I'm going to knock out these last 2, and then if any other ones come in, we'll save those for later. Mike Maxon, I appreciate the 5 as well. Glad to hear the show was good. I'm here for the review. You didn't watch it? Okay, well, I'll try to do my best to describe this for you, and appreciate you hanging out as well. And Michael Cuomo, thanks for the 5. When Brett did the pre-match promo in 94, saying he hated Jim Neidhart's guts, was there ever a match between him and the Anvil in the works? Yeah, but they never did a pay-per-view. I thought for sure that would be like a big match to have. They worked, but I think it was like on TV. It was like on Action Zone or some bullshit like that. The only match, one-on-one match that I remember between Brett and Jim was on that. I'm surprised that they never had any more like one-hour big matches. I mean, they didn't really work well together anyway. It wasn't the best match from what I remember, but I thought Jim would get a title shot or something, especially after Brett beat Owen in the cage. I'll knock out this one too from Nikita. 7 out of 10 you're giving SummerSlam, hoping for Asuka 2 belts. Happy to see Roman. Angry 1. Will you discuss Brody squashing Cody? Brody squashing Cody? I might, and I appreciate the super chat, and we talked a little bit about that last night as well. But I'm pretty much happy with everything that you are happy with in terms of SummerSlam, and I might have even given a tiny bit higher of a grade than you did as well. And thank you, Victor. Love your content and this channel. Always great. Appreciate it. And thank you. Victor was the one, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you were the one last night that informed me during the chat or during the stream that Karrion Kross was injured, and I had to find that out with the rest of you there, and that was just a huge blow after what was a really good night of wrestling last night. All right, so anyway, let me catch my breath, knocked out those super chats, and let me go to my notes here, and we're going to pull up the SummerSlam full review. Let me move this to the right screen so I can read it. All right, there we go. I am all set up. Nice, nice, and nice. All right, let's get into this here. Pre-show. We did have a match here. I didn't know this match was going to be on the pre-show. I didn't know there was going to be a pre-show match at all. But we did see Apollo Crews defeating MVP to retain the U.S. title, which is good. I thought this was going to be on the main card, but I don't think it would have been cool to put the title back with MVP. Let Bobby Lashley beat Apollo for the title. So I'm almost glad this was just on the pre-show. Get it over with. It wasn't much of a match. Apollo defeated MVP rather easily and retained. Also on the pre-show, it was kind of the send-off for Renee Young. They had some nice things to say about her. She was on the panel. It was kind of, Charlie was the one kind of heading this thing up. Renee was more in a guest capacity, along with JBL, Booker, and the Rosenberg dude. And they had some nice things to say about Renee. She did tell everybody that it was her last event. And this was the end of Renee Young in the WWE, so we all wish her the best. She is an absolute joy to watch and to listen to and to see. She is a credit to the wrestling business, and whether she stays in the wrestling business or not and goes over and works with her husband, or if she moves into a different form of entertainment or media, we just wish her the best. She was great. Thank you for being so great to wrestling and making us look so good, Renee, because you did. I just wanted to wish her the best. And it was kind of cool, too, to see the pre-show setup back like the old way, in the arena, which we haven't seen since like February, right? So since the Hell in the Cell. So to kind of have all that back, even though it was in front of the Thunderdome and there wasn't a bunch of fans walking around having a good time, it still gave you that. It still was closer to what it used to be than what it currently has been in the past 5 months. So I just kind of liked the overall vibe of it, and good to see the old school pre-show kind of return, On to the main card now. They opened up with the SmackDown Women's title, Bayley defending against Asuka. Now, I was wondering how they were going to do this. Excuse me. They did hammer out the details of Bayley challenging first, so we knew that was going to happen, but I wasn't sure if these were going to be back-to-back matches or they were going to be spread out or whatever. Turns out they did wind up spreading them out. This match was really good. I mean, it was, I kind of thought that they might rush both matches since there are two of them, but the two of them had a pretty damn good little match there, and I thought all the in-ring stuff was great. Now, they did a finish where we called this, too. This is the whole situation here. The whole scenario is basically exactly what I laid out in my predictions. And speaking of my predictions, I don't remember all of them, but from what I can remember, I'm pretty sure I only got one match wrong. I think I predicted everybody correctly except for the tag team match. I want to say in my predictions, because I have zero memory of what I said, I want to say in my predictions I predicted Andrade and Garza to win the titles. They did not. But every other match here I got right, including the dynamic of these two women's matches. And as much as I would have loved to see Asuka walk out with two belts, I don't think that's where the story is. The story is between Bayley and Sasha and this years-long friendship that they've had, and this nearly over a year-long subtle, tiny little bit of tension you see between the two of them that you know is going to wind up leading to a match between them at some point. So to me, the better story here is for one of them to keep their belts and the other one not to, because then you can have all that jealousy and that tension. And I even called the finishes. I'm like, what they need to do is have Sasha help Bayley, and then Bayley tries to return the favor and fucks it up. That's exactly what they did. So in this case, predictable was better. There was nothing wrong with this situation being predictable because I thought it needed to be. They did the deal where I guess Sasha's up against the ropes and Asuka goes for that. Bayley's up against the ropes and Asuka goes for that running butt smash thing that she does, and she hit Bayley with it like 1,000 times in the match. Bayley moves out of the way. Sasha jumps up on the apron, and they kept saying this phrase over and over, so they were really hammering it home. Sasha took the bullet for Bayley, so she took the shot from Asuka, and that allowed Bayley to grab Asuka and kind of roll her up into a small package and get the pin and retain the title. So they had part one done there. As soon as that happened, I tweeted, I'm like, okay, so in the next match, Bayley's going to try to reciprocate, but screw it up and make a mistake, and Asuka will beat Sasha for the title. So that's kind of what we saw. So anyway, Bayley escapes. Her nearly year-long title run continues, and that's what I think is best for the story. If either one of them were going to keep their belts, I think it's best to keep it on Bayley, considering how long of a run she's had, and then Sasha can be the one to take it off of her. That's just what I've wanted to see ever since the beginning of the year. So I still think you stay that course, and you do that eventually. And I was happy with the first match. Didn't have any issues with it at all. Next up, we had the tag match. Street Profits taking on Garza and Andrade, and the Street Profits did wind up retaining here. Now, Kevin Owens was out on commentary for this. That is when he invited Aleister Black to Raw tomorrow to be a part of the Kevin Owens show. They kind of have a similar spot as the first match. Montez gets bumped into Zelina Vega, so she takes a spill, so maybe Montez got a little bit of accidental revenge on Zelina. And Dawkins winds up coming in. They get Garza down, and Montez is able to hit that gorgeous spinning frog splash onto Garza for the win. And a little nod here to Montez, too. If you notice when he was going up for the frog splash, he kind of stumbled on the ropes a bit. And I wasn't sure if that was intentional or whatever, but I think it was a way of him trying to kill time because Garza wasn't in position instead of him just standing up there and waiting. And he kind of like just the way he sold it, I just thought looked good. And at first I thought he was selling the poisoning. Like maybe he was still suffering from some effects from that. But I think if that was the story, the announcers would not shut the hell up about it. Cole would be like, oh my God, Graves, did you notice he slipped on the ropes or whatever? So anyway, just a little detail there that I appreciated from Montez Ford. And the Street Profits retain the title, which is good. I don't think Garza and Andrade, even though I think they'd make a great tag team, to me, they're singles guys. So even though I predicted them to win, I didn't necessarily want them to. So I'm happy with the outcome of that match as well. Next up, we had the Mandy and Sonya match. And this thing was pretty good. First thing I thought when I saw Sonya Deville come out was Broken Matt. How long has she had that theme music? It could be months for all I know, but that shows you how little I pay attention. I haven't noticed this theme music from Sonya before, and not only did she look like Broken Matt, she had the hair and she had the gear that he kind of wears. The music was even kind of slightly similar. I'm like, what are they doing here? So she comes out. I liked Mandy's look as well. She came out with kind of like a Sharon Stone type of look with the slick back hair and all of that. And of course, this match was changed. This was supposed to be a hair versus hair match, was changed on Friday on SmackDown into a loser leaves WWE match. And I don't know the details, and I don't know for sure, but to me, that just has the home invasion thing written all over it. I don't know, had that home invasion not happened and Sonya and Mandy hadn't gone through that, I don't know. I don't think they would have changed the stipulation. I think the plan was to shave somebody's head and to likely shave Sonya's head. And I had said that as soon as that match was announced, I'm like, Sonya has to lose. She has to be the one to lose here, and might be able to come back with a little bit more of a badass look, a shaved head, a mohawk, something like that. But then after everything happened to them last week, and then they abruptly changed the match like this, you have to assume, or at least consider, that everything that Sonya's gone through has contributed to that. So maybe, we talked about this last night as well, that maybe WWE is going to give Sonya some time off, which is why they changed it, because maybe it's a very traumatic experience, especially when you see, did you guys see the footage of the security footage from her house and how close she got to that guy? She literally saw him feet away from her and she darted off into the other room, and then he just walks by. Creepy little motherfucker. So maybe she needs some time off, but you got to remember Mandy was there as well. I mean, I know it was Sonya's home. She's the one that had to make the court appearance, but they were both in the house. So I would assume that it was equally traumatic for both of them. And props to both of them. Like no shit. They went out there and had a pretty good match. And they shouldn't be asked to perform after going through something like that. I'd still be shaken from something like that. So those two women are pros. They went out there and brought it. And just days after going through a very serious near tragedy and traumatic situation where one of them or both of them could have lost their lives, they're in there performing in a big match situation on the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. That's pretty cool, and that's pretty admirable that they were both able to go out there and do that. So props to both women. In the end, though, it was a pretty good match between the two. Nothing too crazy. I mean, they brought out some tables and chairs. I really like the spot where they had the table on the outside of the ring and Mandy was like sliding chairs down the table and Sonya was ducking them. That was pretty cool. Good spot there. And in the end, we saw Mandy just straight up, I think she hit her finisher, on Sonya Deville and got the pin and won the match straight up. So that's what we expected to happen. I picked Mandy right from the start to beat her and shave her head, but I think because of everything that happened with them this week, WWE has gone in a different direction here. Or maybe, maybe they didn't want to do that to Sonya. Maybe the plan was to shave her head and they're like, maybe she was just kind of iffy about it. Okay, I'm going to do it, but I don't really want to, kind of thing. And then maybe after that, they're like, all right, look, we're not gonna make you go through that and then shave your head on top of it. Just for people's like mental health, that's probably going to be a big shock to a woman, that drastic of a change. Her hair is long and black, so, you do something like that. Maybe it could just trigger something emotionally, and she's already been through a lot this week. I don't know. I'm just shooting shit off here in my mouth. I'm just speculating here what the case could be. But I kind of think that Sonya needs to go take a breather, and WWE might even be kind of like forcing her to do that. Like, just go chill for a bit. And we'll see. Now, there was a lot of speculation that there could be some sort of a swerve here and a briefcase being involved. A lot of people were pitching the idea of Otis maybe giving the briefcase to Sonya Deville to save Mandy's hair or situations like that. I pitched a heel turn from Mandy, with Mandy manipulating Otis to give her the briefcase, and then she goes and cashes it in and reveals she never cared about Otis at all. And then Sonya comes back down the road as a babyface, and she comes and then takes the title off of Mandy or something like that. But in the end, we saw none of that. Now, we did see Otis run out there in the end, and my heart kind of started to flutter a little bit because I'm like, oh shit, are they going to do something here? Because he had the briefcase with him. So he ran down there, but all he did was do the worm, and he celebrated with Mandy, picked her up and lifted her on his shoulder like Macho Man and Elizabeth, and that was it. So we got no funny swerve there, and at least for the time being, Sonya is out of the WWE, and that's probably good because, they can write her back in no time. I don't think she's going to be gone for 6 months or anything. I mean, however long she's gone, I think it'll be a short amount of time, and it's an excellent way, to maybe make her babyface. Because if there would have been a crowd, an actual physical crowd in the arena tonight, they'd be cheering her. They'd probably be cheering both ladies, but same thing with SmackDown on Friday. WWE had to pipe in those boos when she came out to cut her promo. I don't think any fan in the arena would be booing her if that was a live audience there. So you might as well turn her babyface. And I got to say, too, Mandy impresses me as well. I think that, I always knew that Sonya had it. Like, you knew Sonya had the potential to be a star because, she looks good. She's got the MMA background. She's tough, and she can cut a hell of a promo, and she's really been impressing us a lot. Mandy is a girl that I always, admittedly, kind of just brushed aside because and it's not her fault, but sometimes it's hard for me as a wrestling fan to take those blonde bombshell type of model wrestlers seriously, like the Lanas and shit like that. And Mandy really isn't like that. She's proven that she's a tough girl. It's reminiscent of Trish, you know, because I thought the same thing about Trish when she first came in, and she turned out to become my favorite women's wrestler of all time. So Mandy has got a lot of that in her too, to where she's not just, you know, a fitness model. She can actually cut a promo. She actually understands how to wrestle. She's not horrible in the ring, you know, like a lot of former females who have looked like her have been. She's been really good. And not only has Sonya impressed me, so has Mandy. So don't judge a book by its cover. I didn't think Mandy had it in her, but I think she does have it in her. So props to both ladies. Good match. And just thanks for going out there and performing after going through something like that. It was probably rough. What do you guys think, though? You know, what's Mandy going to do? What's the plans for her? How long, or I'm sorry, Sonya, how long is she going to be out? And how do they write her back in? I think that it would be pretty easy. You can explain away anything. I mean, WWE can literally do anything and just figure it out. That's why I thought the briefcase thing would work out. You know, I'm like, who cares if they give it to a woman? Where's the rule that says you can't do that? You know, they've done dumber shit. I mean, all the years that people just enter matches, like even Becky entering the Royal Rumble. What the shit is that? She shouldn't even had that match against Ronda and Charlotte at WrestleMania because she entered a match she wasn't even a part of. So, you know, whatevs. Before we get to the next match, let me just cruise over here to the chat and see what's going on. What's that other one coming in from you, Victor? Appreciate the $2 more. Wasn't Riddle versus Corbin supposed to happen? I forgot about Corbin and Riddle. I don't think so. I think that's the feud they're doing on TV, but I don't think that match was ever advertised for SummerSlam. I saw Corbin tweeting out today. He was at his backyard grilling a bunch of shit up, and I wanted to like tweet some smart-ass shit to him. Like, oh, you're at home during SummerSlam, huh? It's funny. You're not booked. You're making ribs, bitch. But then he'd just insult me, and it would be funny. So, yeah, I don't know what that's probably just something. Honestly, that's something I'd rather just have them do on TV anyway. Oh, that's a good idea, Ryan. Would it be possible to draft Sonya? Yeah, maybe it would. A lot of people feel a Mandy heel turn is coming. I do too. I kind of thought Mandy was going to turn heel from the minute she showed any interest in Otis whatsoever. It just feels like that's the way it usually goes when you have these type of relationships. I always think of Kane and the women that he was with. They fuck him over every time. So, you know, whenever you have a monster and a beauty together, that beauty's going to fuck the monster over. I thought, like, Alexa Bliss would do that to Strowman. Same thing. And prior to tonight, I mean, back when she was, they were kind of friends or whatever. So I thought she would do to Strowman what she did to Nia Jax and what I expected her to do to Nikki Cross, and she never did. So, yeah, don't judge a book, you know? Luigi the Raw, appreciate the $5. I think they bring Sonya back by just having her change her name. Do we want to do that though? WWE usually doesn't like doing that, like change complete names and shit, especially when they've, you know, worked so hard on marketing Sonya Deville. I mean, I guess they haven't worked that hard, but I don't know if they're going to go for a name change. I don't know how. Who knows? I mean, with WWE, they can really do anything. I'm not saying that idea wouldn't work. WWE can come up with any stupid reason to bring someone back. We'll see. Oh, Devlin's thinking that Mandy will cost Otis the briefcase. That could be. At some point, he's going to have to try to cash that thing in, or it's going to have to go off to some other person. And I just can't see Otis winning the title. Think about who's in your title picture right now. You got McIntyre. You think Otis is going to beat that guy? No, I don't think he can cash in on Raw anyway. And then on SmackDown, you've got The Fiend as the new champion, and it looks like Roman's coming after him. And Otis doesn't want to party either one of those two. So I don't think either one of those two would need Mandy's help for an Otis cash in. So that's why I think that maybe that briefcase still has a chance to move to someone else. And maybe it could be Roman. You know, maybe Roman comes out on SmackDown and he says that I'm back now and I want a title shot, and then, you know, whoever could say, hey, you're the one that left, motherfucker. You're not just going to waltz back in here and get a title shot. You got to earn your way back to the top or something. And if Roman wants to be like the new attitude type of heel, maybe that's when they can do the Mandy thing that I suggested earlier for the ending of SummerSlam. Have Retribution grab her, threaten to tear her arms off unless Otis hands their leader the briefcase, and he goes, okay, fine, here you go, and the leader goes out there and wins the title. But I think that would have been a better ending for tonight, not down the road. And we got Payback coming up in 1 week, so who knows what's going to happen next Sunday night. All right, next up on the card, we had Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio. It was so funny, too, because Dominic not only had Ray with him, but his mom was there, too. So Ray's wife was there. I forget her name now. But it was funny, earlier on in the day, they showed them all showing up together, and, like, they're on each side of Dominic, and he's wearing, like, a backpack. It looked like they were going to school. It looked like he was in trouble or something, and they were like going to talk to the principal. It was a funny visual there. So they're both with him, and I was like, oh man, if the mom is there, the mom is going to get involved, you know. Big shout out. I marked out for this for Seth Rollins. He started coming down the ramp, and I'm like, where have I seen that gear before? And I immediately thought, I'm like, holy shit, he's tributing Rey Mysterio's Halloween Havoc gear from 1997 when he wrestled Eddie Guerrero. And they also referenced the match between Guerrero and Mysterio from 15 years ago when Dominic was in the front row. So very cool to see Seth with that ring gear. It was the whole weekend was like that. We had Bronson Reed doing Bam Bam Bigelow. Velveteen Dream had the Scott Steiner headgear thing on, and we had Seth doing Mysterio from 97, and I guess you could count Broken Sonya as well, the way she came out there looking like Broken Matt. So I thought that was very cool, very nice touch. Dominic made his debut. He's got some interesting ring gear as well. Almost, it was a full like kind of body thing, almost resembled maybe like a very colorful D'Lo Brown type of thing. There was a mask hanging on the back of his gear, right, that he never put on. There has been talk about him eventually going under the mask, and this was going to be our very first look at Dominic in the ring, not just taking bumps or not just being in a segment, but actually having a match. Bravo, Dominic. He knows what he's doing, man. I think Rey Mysterio had this kid moonsaulting off his crib. You know, he's been training. You can't have a better dad. These guys have probably been wrestling around in their house ever since that kid was an infant. He's got just remarkably good just instincts and timing and all of that, and he knows how to do stuff, and he's only going to get better. He's still very young looking. I think he's going to fill out physically. Wait until he starts working out and gets a little, because right now he's not, you know, it's not like he's got some big, crazy, ripped physique or anything like that, but he's still pretty strong, pretty tough kid, pretty big kid, and a pretty athletic kid. And all of that was on display here. I thought he was just really impressive. And oh my God, that kid can sell his balls off. Holy shit. It was phenomenal. I mean, he knew how to take a beating. He was taking everything that Seth was given to him, selling better than 90% of the wrestlers on the roster, even with his facial expressions, because a lot of it is probably genuine. He probably is legitimately getting his ass beat in there. You know, that happened to him on Raw. It wasn't hard for him to sell a few weeks ago on Raw when he was getting lit up with those kendo sticks, because that was real. He was like literally getting initiated into professional wrestling. And here, you know, it's not like he's debuting on an in-between pay-per-view. This is SummerSlam, man. So this is going to have to be a match that's going to have some major stuff happen in it, and WWE's going to have to trust Dominic enough to be able to be in there with someone like Seth on a stage like this. So I think given the stage that he was on, he came through, he rose to the occasion, and he proves that shit really does run in the family. You know, when you can grow up in the business and you can be around it that much and absorb so much, you have an enormous advantage over so many other people. Randy Orton was a lot like that too, you know, and then if you're also gifted the genetics along with it of size and presence, it's a recipe for a superstar, you know. And I'm not saying Dominic's going to be main eventing WrestleManias one day. He's got big shoes to fill, even though his feet are bigger than his dad's. But I'm optimistic. You know, a lot of times when you see the sons of wrestlers, it's tough for them to live up to that level of star, especially the level of somebody like Rey Mysterio. You know, Dustin Rhodes had to go through that a lot with Dusty. He was one of the first, you know, especially, you know, this era in the 80s and 90s and stuff, to really have to fill shoes of a megastar, Hall of Famer, you know, arguably a Rushmore type of guy, you know. And Mysterio, in terms of what he did for the small wrestler, he is the most influential wrestler there has ever been, you know, for why we see the style that we do now and why you can now be 180 pounds and get in the ring, where back in, you know, the 80s, that wouldn't even been an option. You'd be lucky to get a referee spot. You'd be lucky enough to be a ring boy at 180 pounds. You know, now you can be world champion. And Ray is a big reason for that. So Dominic has got big shoes to fill. And I think just based on what we've seen so far, the kid is going to fill him. He's going to do well as long as he just keeps working out and he's just keeps doing his thing and keeps getting better. He's only going to get, if he's already this good, imagine how he's going to be in 5 years. And who knows what he's going to do, if he's going to be a full-blown member of the main roster or if they're going to send him to developmental a little bit. I'm sure he's already been there working a lot, but, just working out there, continuing to grow. Maybe he has a little stint in NXT, or maybe he stays on Raw or SmackDown or whatever, and Ray can kind of be his manager and kind of pass the baton to Dominic eventually when Ray does officially decide to retire. Sounds like he's on the verge of re-signing with WWE if he has not yet already. We got a pay-per-view 1 week from now where we could likely see a tag team match with Dominic and Ray teaming up to take on Seth and Buddy Murphy. But in the match, not only did Dominic impress, and like I said, he sold his nuts off the whole time, and he suffered a couple of really gnarly beatdowns from Seth. He also delivered a lot of offense. He was holding his own against a guy, a former multi-time world champion that's got a couple of Brock Lesnar victories under his belt. He's in there, going toe-to-toe with him, and I just thought it was fucking great. So anyway, Dominic, what winds up happening here? Ray is at ringside, so is Buddy Murphy. Prior to the match, Dominic makes Ray promise not to get involved. But that's stupid because Buddy did not make that same promise to Seth Rollins. So Dominic was like, Ray, I got to handle this like a man. And Ray promised him, yes, but at the same time, I'm like, that's kind of dumb. If I was Ray, I would have been like, yo, Dominic, all right, I won't interfere in your match, but if Surfy Murphy jumps his ass into that ring, I'm interfering. I'm your dad. It's what I say goes, asshole. So if you're getting double teamed, I'm jumping in there. He should have at least made Dominic understand that. What winds up happening during the match is you get Dominic suffering a pretty hard beating at the hands of Seth Rollins, and that's when the wife, we knew the mom was going to get involved, she appears up on the stage. She just stands there. And Ray sees her, and he runs up, and he's like, no, you stay back, por favor, just get out of here, go. And she won't leave, and while Ray is bothered with her, that's when Murphy interferes because it's like no DQ, so he gets in the ring and starts double teaming Dominic with Seth, brings him on the outside of the ring, and goes to bash and poke his eye out on the steel steps. And you're wondering, I'm like, Ray, will you turn around? Or how come the wife's not being like, Ray, go look what they're doing? Finally, Ray sees it. He shows up. He saves Dominic. Now Ray's getting involved. He's brawling a little bit with Murphy and Seth Rollins. They pull out a pair of handcuffs and actually handcuff Ray's hand to the ropes, and that made me nervous because I thought they were going to really go in a dark direction here. We've already seen Dominic get worn out with the kendo stick. Now Ray is helpless, and I'm like, man, I hope they don't do something like just murder poor Dominic or go after the wife. And literally the minute I had that thought, Seth Rollins just turns. He's got the kendo sticks, him and Murphy both, and when Ray is handcuffed, they're looking like they're going to hit him, and then Seth just demonically kind of turns around and looks at the wife, and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like, why isn't mom leaving? Like, why isn't mom running for her life? She's still standing there. Seth goes up to approach her. He's then attacked by Dominic, so Dominic makes the save on his mom, winds up getting Seth back in the ring. Seth recovers, regains control, and winds up just hitting the stomp on Dominic for the win, and pins him and wins the match. And after that, they didn't do anything else. I thought they might Pillmanize his head in the chair or something in front of Ray. But instead, in a kind of a surprising move, he just pulls out the handcuff keys and drops them to Dominic so he can let his dad out later. So we saw no additional carnage. The mom didn't get beat up, or Dominic didn't get, completely destroyed. And Ray would have to sit there and watch it or anything like that. But the Monday Night Messiah did prevail, and Dominic went down hard in his first match, but, good effort, good outing. Really cool moment at the end of the match, too, with Ray and Dominic kind of like embracing there. And that if there would have been an audience there, every one of them would have been standing, and applauding for Dominic, because that was just an amazing performance. So props to the kid. I got high hopes for him now. He's made a believer out of me. And I think he can only get better from here. You can't get worse. You can only get better. And someone like him, with his pedigree, he's going to get better. So, yeah, excellent match. That match came through. It was a match that I've been saying on the podcast that I was confident would be a good match. But at the same time, you never know with a kid who's, 20 years old or something like that? No, he's 23. And it's his first match, and he's on a stage like this. Yeah. And Seth, props to Seth for taking care of him. Seth's been kind of known for hurting some guys before, And Seth, I'm sure, based on his ring gear tonight, that he has in real life the utmost respect for Rey Mysterio, and he has to be trusted with going in there with his son and not injuring him. So that was probably a little source of pressure for Seth. I got to take care of one of my homies' sons, a legend in the business. I don't want to, go down and be known as the guy that permanently injured this kid before his career even got started. So that's a lot of responsibility for somebody who's in there with another fellow wrestler's son who's in there for the first time. You got to take care of him, and Seth did. So good job all the way around. I have no bad things or nothing negative whatsoever to say about that match. Let's see. Let me cruise up here before we get into Sasha and Asuka. Knock out a couple more of these super chats. I want to thank Flaw 6363 for the very generous $20 drop. I appreciate that, man. Always good to see you in here. And thanks for hanging out. Another $5 from Zane. Appreciate that, man. Rey Mysterio looked like Shane McMahon handcuffed to the ropes. Yeah, I remember I thought about Shane too, but the first thing I thought of was, because I'm an old man, was Survivor Series 1988 when Hogan got handcuffed to the middle rope much in the same way while Macho Man had to get the shit kicked out of him in the ring. And Slick had the keys. Slick had the keys to the cups, and he's dangling them. He's like taunting Hogan with the keys. And then finally, like, Slick gets taken out on a botch or something, and Hogan tells Elizabeth, like, go get the keys or whatever. So I thought it was going to be like kind of a rehash of that. I thought like whoever had the keys would get knocked down, and Ray would like tell the wife to come down and get the key and let him out to go save Dominic or something. I thought it would be a similar situation, but I thought of SummerSlam or Survivor Series 88. Shane McMahon, was that the Shawn Vince match? Was that when Shane got handcuffed like that? I can't remember. He's been handcuffed a few times. He got handcuffed that one time when Kane hooked his nuts up to a car battery. But I think, was it Mania 22 that he got handcuffed, right? I might not be right. Who knows? All right, what was next? All right, pretty good audience in here, by the way. Smash that thumbs up if you haven't yet. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. If you don't, I will find you. All right, next up, we had Sasha Banks defending the Raw Women's title against Asuka. This was match number 2 for Asuka. Asuka obviously is not quite 100% because she had a pretty grueling match in the opener with Bayley. Another really good match. I almost like Asuka and Sasha working together more than Asuka and Bayley. So this match delivered. Asuka took a lot of brutal shots in this, and I'm worried that she didn't suffer an injury, and if maybe she has to have a concussion test at the end of this thing. Really gnarly power bomb on the floor. They showed a replay of it, and you can just see her head bouncing and her neck twisting. It was a mess. She hit hard. Later on, when she's like laying or sitting up in the corner, Sasha delivers just a stiff kick right to her head, and you could see her eyes kind of like went, whoa. She probably saw a few stars and birds flying around her head, I'm sure, after that. So she was taking a lot of punishment. I don't know if they were trying to kill her or what, but she delivered some pretty good offense, too. She had an amazing middle rope or top rope DDT onto Bayley, which looked amazing, which was very reminiscent of the Scotty 2 Hotty and Dean Malenko DDT that we saw in the opening of, I think it was Raw, for so many years. You know the one I'm talking about. Just a crazy, crazy bump. It was kind of like that, very reminiscent of that. And the finish basically saw a rehash of the very same finish in the first match. They didn't even try to do something different. I just thought all they needed to do was have Bayley try to help and screw up. But they did the exact same thing. So now you got Sasha in the ropes. Asuka's going for the running ass smash or whatever it is. And this time, Bayley is in position to take the bullet, much like Sasha was in the first match, but she moves. She moves out of the way so she doesn't have to take the bullet. So Asuka kind of misses. Sasha goes for the bank statement. Asuka rolls over into the Asuka lock, and she's right in the middle of the ring, too far away from Bayley. And a very nice touch there, having Sasha yell for Bayley, just like Kyrie yelled for Asuka. I loved that little cherry on top. And Sasha taps out. Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion, and that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted out of this situation. You got to have one keeping their belt and one not, and I don't see any point in moving Asuka to SmackDown right now. Keep her on Raw. She's got some storylines there waiting for her. She's got a great feud on the horizon with Shayna Baszler, and potentially even a tag team with Shayna Baszler if it turns out to be her and Shayna facing Asuka and Sasha and Bayley for the titles at Payback, whoever that might be. That could only add to the story. So Asuka's got to be Raw champion, and plus, if Sasha would have won, why? That doesn't help the Sasha and Bayley story. It's got to be one title. Plus, if Sasha wins, do we really need her on Raw? Like, what's that word again that every fan and their fucking mother was using to describe Charlotte a few months back when she was on all 3 shows? What was it again? Oh, yeah, overexposed. Sasha and Bayley together are a great act, probably my favorite act across all of WWE. But you give them to me 3 nights a week, it will grow stale. And if you are going to do that, I think it needs to be a temporary thing, just like it was with Charlotte. When fans were freaking out about Charlotte, I'm like, just chill. She ain't going to be on all 3 shows forever. She's on all 3 shows because she has a reason to be on all 3 shows. She's a champion in here, and she's got to be here, and all this stuff. So it's not going to last forever. It's a temporary thing. Chill the fuck out. And now I can say the same thing here. You know, that didn't need to be a full-time thing. Sasha being on Raw in the mix there with Shayna and Asuka, she doesn't need that. She's got her own shit going on. She's got a lot. She's got plenty of storyline. There's plenty of meat on that Bayley bone, and that's where everything needs to be focused in my mind. Now, you guys have to help me out with something else because I saw this all over Twitter tonight. How can this be? Am I hearing this right, that Sasha has never successfully defended a women's title? She's lost every title match she's ever had in her first defense? That can't be right. But I don't pay attention. So, I mean, I know she's a multi-time women's champion, but how in the hell has she never retained a title? Unless, am I reading it wrong? Has she never retained a title on pay-per-view or never retained a title, period? You mean to tell me she never had a title match on Raw where she won? Or SmackDown? That's crazy to me. So that sounds like a curse. Maybe the curse continues. I don't know, but that blew my mind to kind of read that. So, but I didn't care. Like, that's not enough of a reason for her to win. Oh, just because she hasn't before. Well, you don't fuck up all your storylines just to fix some weird stat. If she's never won, if she's never successfully retained the title, guess what? She ain't going to retain it here either, because this is not where the story calls for. She needs to have the tension with Bayley. She can beat Bayley for the title right very closely down the road, I'm sure, based on what they're doing now. And then when she wins the SmackDown title, then we'll talk about her retaining. And she probably will, because if she beats Bayley for it, there's going to be a rematch. This is going to be a whole 3-4 month pay-per-view program between the two. She will retain at some point in that feud with Bayley, I would assume. So this streak and this curse that Sasha apparently has, I think will end once she becomes SmackDown Women's Champion, because I believe she will. And I wish we could see the calendar, or somebody can figure out the math here. If there is a pay-per-view somehow, like on the 364th day of her run, oh, that would be great, wouldn't it? How long has it been now? 320, something like that. So yeah, it's probably Survivor Series, and it's probably too late for Hell in the Cell, so that probably wouldn't work out. But, or maybe if it's a SmackDown would also work if a Friday falls on the 364th day and have Sasha beat her 1 day short of the year-long run. I think that would be awesome. So I think there's plenty you can do now with them, now that you have them kind of focus. And they can still be on Raw because they're the tag team champions, but, you know, they can probably skip some weeks and don't need to be so heavily featured now. They can focus their energy on SmackDown, and hopefully maybe even at Payback, drop the tag team titles, and then their situation is off and running. I think it's kind of time. I think if without the COVID, SummerSlam would have been in Boston, I think that's the match they would have done. But I think because of everything, they decided to stretch it out. And plus, Bayley and Sasha are crazy over together. They are so fun to watch and to listen to. They're marvelous. So I'm in no real rush to see them split up, but it's been so long, and they've been teasing it for well over a year now. I don't know how you can't do it, you know? We'll see. Should be interesting. And you saw the disappointment in Sasha. You know, she's looking at Bayley. The announcers didn't shut the hell up about it. Oh, my God, Bayley screwed her. So you could tell that Sasha was upset. You could tell she's going to have something to say on SmackDown. Or maybe, you know, maybe they swerve us again and she, like, forgives Bayley. That's all right. You know, accidents happen. No big deal. I'd rather have some sort of a split to where, you know, they're at odds with each other than what I think might happen. And Sasha might tell Bayley, look, I helped you. You tried to help me. You screwed up. You know, accidents happen. I forgive you. But because you screwed up, the least you can do for me is give me a shot at your title. But I don't want to see the friendly match. You know, I want to see a turn where they want to tear each other's hair out. So I think we need to eventually get to that. And maybe that will finally implode for good in a week if they drop the tags. We'll see. So that leaves us with the 2 title matches to talk about next. But I'll cruise over here to the chat and knock out a couple of more of these supers. And let me see. Did I get you? Yep, I got you, Zane. Who's next? Adrian, welcome back, man. Sasha, 0 for 5 in title defenses. Holy crap. Now let me look at some of these other comments. Does anybody else give me the skinny on that when I was asking about Sasha? How is that possible? She has never, like, I remember shell shock. I remember the Charlotte Sasha hot potato, the awesome match on Raw with didn't she like bank statement, or what did she do? She put the crab on Charlotte in the aisleway or whatever. That was great. And then dropped the belt at the Hell in the Cell. I remember all that. But every time she's defended the title, she's never had a run. As a 5-time champion, she's never had a run. That's fucked up. But like I said, still not enough reason to just throw a monkey wrench in all your storyline plans just to fix that stat. You can fix that stat later. They will. If she beats Bayley for that SmackDown title, she'll have a run with it. I think they should give her a year-long run with it. Why not? Why not? Sasha's money. Man, that's fucking mind-blowing. Are you serious? Dang. Zane, appreciate the $5 more as well. Sasha can go for Bayley Women's Championship. Yeah, that's what I've been talking about. I agree totally. And thank you for another one, Flaw. Very generous. 18 more from you. Been a fan since about 2013 from SoCal here in Huntington Beach. Also from SoCal here in Huntington Beach. Oh, wow. I am around your age, 41, and a lifelong WWE fan. Just love your work and want to show your support. Yeah, we are very similar. I'm just a couple years older than you, and living down here in SoCal is not a bad life, and we've loved wrestling all our lives. So you are a friend of mine, my man. I appreciate you being here, and thanks for the kind words. Damn, thank you for that bit of stat there, too. Streaming Belinsky. Her longest reign is 28 days. Damn. For any singles title. That is mind-blowing. All right, Bayley has got 47 days to go to 364. Yachiro, I don't know any news on Cross. Didn't see anything today. I would assume that might be like a Monday morning type of deal, that we might get some info on that, at least hitting the websites and the sheets and whatnot. But man, that's just a blow. That's just wrestling kicking us directly in the nuts as hard as it possibly can. Such a bummer. Anyway, that leaves us with the 2 title matches we'll talk about next. First up, we had Drew McIntyre defending the WWE title against Randy Orton. So this match was next. Once that happened, I said Drew's retaining. You know, to me, not like it's a mid-card match or anything, but it's not the main event. And you ain't going to have the type of year that Drew has had, winning the Royal Rumble and beating Brock and just tearing through everybody, and then lose in the middle of the card somewhere. Like, no way. Anytime, if Drew is being built as this next big star, you drop the belt in the main event. I've always said that about a lot of people. Sometimes I've turned out to be wrong about that, but whenever you have a champion of that caliber, and same goes with Bayley, you know, whenever Bayley drops that title, it should be in the main event somewhere, I think, you know, of a pay-per-view or a show at least. So with Drew taking on Orton here, even with a title match and a title change in the next match, I still think that, you know, you'd have to do this last. And plus, with so much energy being focused at the end with a new champion and that big return that we would see, I almost think like an Orton title win, and then we still go on to see The Fiend win and Roman return, you'd almost forget about the Orton title win. So, to me, McIntyre had to retain here. And I'll tell you, man, it was a good match. I was worried that this match might not be very pleasing to the eye, because they're both big guys. Randy Orton already kind of wrestles a slow, methodical pace as it is, and we saw a lot of good wrestling on the front end of this card. So I thought maybe this match had a possibility of disappointing us a little bit, at least from an in-ring perspective. But it didn't. I thought it was really good. I mean, it started out a little bit slow, but it picked up. Very brutal match. Both guys, Drew had a cut over his eye. Orton had a cut on his head, I think. And they were beating the shit out of each other. And it was a really good match with some really cool spots. I really thought the Drew putting the figure 4 on Randy Orton was cool. That would have been cool to see him actually tap out to that. I want to say it went 15 minutes or so, probably the match, maybe 18, something like that. We were all waiting for some sort of a Claymore or RKO counter and reversal type of thing. We did get Drew avoiding a punt. He avoided the Orton punt and hit him with just a nasty power bomb. Wound up missing the Claymore, but then when Randy went for the RKO right after he missed the Claymore, he countered that, spun him around into a backslide, and got the 1-2-3. And I like that. Randy Orton kind of slithers out to the outside of the ring, looking up at Drew, and almost kind of gave him that, like, all right, maybe I underestimated you. Maybe you are a good champion, but I'm not done with you. You didn't hit me with your finisher. You scored a quick pinfall, but you didn't beat me down, kind of thing. Like, I could have easily done that to you type of shit. So I think we're getting another match out of these two here. Feels like we have to anyway on Raw. I mean, I know Keith Lee's coming to town, but I'm not sure if you're putting him in the situation right away or not, or what. But I think based on the finish, it allows you to do a rematch, and somebody can hit that Claymore or RKO in the rematch. So I think that's what they're saving that for. I didn't really have an issue with the match. I thought the match was good. Two just alphas in there beating the hell out of each other. I thought it went well. They're both pros. They're both seasoned veterans. They know what they're doing, and their match delivered when I thought there was a possibility that it wouldn't. So I was happy to be proven incorrect there. So good match. No issue with it. Backslide didn't bother me at all. Not at all. I saw some people complaining. Not me. Thought the backslide was awesome. I'm old school. Von Erich beat Flair that way in '84. And I got no problem with a backslide victory in a title match of a major pay-per-view ever. And hell, Becky kind of won with a backslide, didn't she? How did Becky pin Ronda? Wasn't it similar? Or was it a crucifix? Might have been a crucifix. Same thing. I don't mind that. You don't need to finish in every match. You don't need to do that shit. I talked about that earlier on. Before we get into that main event there, let me nail this one out from Mike Maxon. I wonder if they will give Cena his 17th one day. Yeah, they definitely will. He will break that record. And I've said all along, I've been calling this for 2 years, that whenever Cena wins his next belt, it'll be the Universal title, because WWE is going to want his name in the history books there. We've seen that. They've already put that. Goldberg has had that belt, and Brock. They're going to want Cena's name on that lineage if they plan to keep this belt around for a while. I mean, if they plan to keep this on for the next, 20, 30, 40 years, they want to build title history there, and you want some impressive names on there, more than just Balor and Owens, you know what I mean? So adding Brock and Goldberg and Cena and guys like that, Randy Orton, I'm sure we'll taste it at some point as well before he retires. I absolutely think Cena will come back and have his 17th title win. Might be a short run. It'll probably be like a Rumble to Mania type of thing, where he might not come back. I don't think he's ever going to be back full time. I think when Cena comes back, he's going to come back like The Rock did, and have a couple of feature matches, a couple of pay-per-view matches, things like that, but never really be wrestling full time anymore. So maybe he comes back and wins that 17th title at the Royal Rumble, and then passes the torch to somebody at WrestleMania. That would be likely. Or maybe he wins it at WrestleMania and passes the torch to somebody at SummerSlam. That would work too. Whatever. But yeah, he'll win. Faux show. Adrian, appreciate 5 more. I was happy with a clean finish, was fearing a no contest. I was too, and a lot of people were talking about that, especially when that match, we realized it wasn't going to be the main event. They're like, oh shit, Retribution's going to come out. They're going to kibosh this thing or whatever, and they didn't. We saw no Retribution all night. Where the hell were they? They didn't come out there. So that was kind of funny. WWE fan 22, thank you, man, for 10 more bucks, or $9.99, I should say. Thanks for covering my network costs for the month. Just finished up the pay-per-view. I said C, but I'm going to give it a B because I liked the ending with Roman. I was saying I don't see any change. He still seems like they are trying to do the anti-hero character. Yeah, he just seemed mad is all. So his anger what was striking me a little bit, because I'm like, okay, what's he angry about? I kind of liked his shirt. And, if you want to make a case for him to be the leader of Retribution, then this is the type of attitude he should have. You know what I mean? So I liked everything we saw, and we're about to talk about that match right now. Thank you, Shell Shock. Becky won with the botched crucifix. Yeah, it was botched. Yeah, it was a crucifix, not a backslide, but I just have that image of Ronda kind of wiggling her shoulders out. And I even tweeted out a last-minute prediction right before the show went live. I said, last-minute prediction, Ronda Rousey is the leader of Retribution. Because if you remember, she was talking all that smack near the end there. She's getting her hair done. Wrestling's not real, right? All that stuff. Finally getting pissed at the fans, saying, like, fuck these fans. They're all a bunch of assholes. I can't believe I even got into this line of work because these people are idiots type of thing, talking all this shit about us. So if she were to be the one, revealed to be the leader of Retribution, that might be cool because she has a gripe. She lost. She lost the title in such a way where she didn't think that she should lose. She got pinned and her shoulder was up and all that. So she has a case to come back and say, you never beat me, Becky, but Becky's not even there. So I don't know, but I think anybody being anybody crazy cool like that being revealed as the leader of Retribution, I think would be awesome. And I think the bigger the star, the better. So if it's Roman or Ronda or someone like that, or CM Punk or whatever, I think the bigger the better, so to speak. We'll find out. It looks like they're going to be dragging that Retribution shit on some more, and I guess they just didn't feel the need to interfere in anything tonight, which is their prerogative. Yeah, I agree, JC13. He came off very heelish. And I like that. I want that new attitude Roman. We talked about that when the rumors a couple weeks ago on the podcast about him coming back. I said, whenever he does, I want a new attitude. We've seen some photos of him on social media. He's jacked. He looks great. He's had this time off to recharge. He's gotten himself in phenomenal shape. Coming back is just a vicious ass kicker is what I wanted, and that's exactly what he did tonight. So let's hope that lasts, and he doesn't come out on SmackDown in the old Roman vest and cut the same Roman promo. Let's see a new Roman. Give us a new Roman here, Which brings us to the main event. Joseph Cunningham, thank you for the messageless list, $5. You're the man. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Let's move on to the main event now. Braun Strowman defending the Universal title against the Fiend Bray Wyatt in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Honestly, that didn't even need to be a stipulation here. Everything took place for the most part in the ring. They did brawl up the rampway a little bit, and they went back to Gorilla in the production area a little bit, but for the most part stayed in the ring. And of all the matches we saw on the show tonight, this was the weakest one, in terms of what they were doing in the ring. But it didn't really need to be. There's so much other stuff surrounding this whole thing. It's been so weird, and the Alexa stuff and the swamp match and all the crazy shit they've been doing. It didn't need to be Ray and Eddie in the ring, so I don't really care that it wasn't a good match, but it was definitely the weakest of all of them. And like I said, we didn't see any of those other swerves. We saw no Alexa Bliss. Where the hell was she? I don't think she needed to come out here and cost Strowman the win. I said right from the start that I don't think Alexa is capable of really costing Braun the win unless she does something really crazy psychologically to him. But what's she going to do? Hit him with a chair? He's not going to feel that. So I didn't really think Alexa costing him the match necessarily needed to happen. But I think Alexa having a presence in the match should have happened, or at least just turned up there, have some weird spooky shit, because they have that Thunderdome. Just have Braun on his back, and then he looks up at the dome and he sees Alexa's face, maybe blocked out with the red X's on her face or something like that, and maybe she's talking to him or whatever, something creepy like that where it kind of freaks him out a little bit, and then the Fiend locks in the claw or whatever. Kind of a funny finish when Strowman pulls out a pair of box cutters. Not sure if we've seen that weapon, maybe in ECW. And he starts just cutting up the ring, peeling back the mat. They expose the wood underneath, and after some scuffling and some fighting on top of it, Wyatt eventually hits the Sister Abigail on the exposed ring mat there and just pins him right there in the ring to win the Universal title. And as soon as that 3 count happened, I was like, this ain't over. You knew the pay-per-view wasn't going off the air like that. If it was going to be some big dramatic win for the Fiend, they would have shot that shit in the back or done some sort of crazy finish. The fact that it ended right there in the ring, I'm like, somebody's coming out. And that's when I was thinking about my Mandy Rose. I'm like, what if camera cut to the back and you see all the Retribution guys there, and they've got a hold of Mandy Rose, and they're just threatening to literally rip her arms off her body. And Otis is standing there with the briefcase. Please, please, give our leader the briefcase right now when she lives. And of course, Otis complies. Gives the briefcase to the leader who's in a hood, and that's when Roman's music hits. He comes down to the ring with the briefcase, cashes in, pins the Fiend, wins the title. I would have loved to see that. So this was close. I was kind of right, sort of, not really. And if he does turn out to be the leader of Retribution, I was even closer to being right. But that's kind of the way I would have preferred the show to end, but WWE has the reasons for doing what they're doing. And as soon as the match was over, you knew something was happening. And that's when Roman jumped the barricade, hit the ring, speared the Fiend, beat the shit out of Strowman, basically just beat up and talk shit to both guys. He's got chairs, I think, out there. He's got that shirt with that saying on it. I like facial hair Roman. I really do. He looks a little bit more badass like that. Very vicious, and he was going on and on about how, they're just a placeholder. This is his house. It's his belt. Doesn't matter who holds it. It's my belt. It belongs to me. I'm coming for it kind of thing. And that was that. The show went off the air with Roman posing with the title to fade to black there. So we didn't see everything coming here, but they didn't hit us with a huge surprise. Roman didn't make my jaw drop. I wasn't like, holy crap, I had no idea he was going to come back. We just talked about him coming back a few days ago on the channel. So it's not like that was that shocking, but it was still good to see. I've missed Roman. I've had Roman's back since day one on this channel. You know, I think fans that go overboard with their hate, you know, they bury any legitimate critiques they actually have about people under so much negativity. And it's because of that I had John Cena's back too. You know, I've always had Roman's. I think he gets a bad rap. I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. All he needs is some better direction. He needs to be handled better. He needs to be booked better. His promos need to be better. WWE needs to do better with him. But in terms of what he's given, he can do anything they want. If they say go out there and cut a cheesy promo, he can do that. If they say go out there and be an ass-kicking machine, big badass heel, I think he can do that too. Same argument I made for Cena. I'm like, no matter, because we saw Cena cut some damn good promos when everybody said his promos were tutti fruity and fruity pebbles and all that shit. And for kids, when he wanted to deliver something, he could. He was one of the best overall talkers the business has ever seen in terms of like just getting out his words. And that's proven because he's in Hollywood right now doing movies. Rock was like that too. So I think Roman, if given the right material, can deliver. He can execute that material. And that's what a lot of fans, I don't think, understand. They think he's just fucking useless and can't do anything. No, he's just being booked like a piece of shit. If WWE treated him a little bit better and booked him with a little bit more interest, like they do some of their other talents, I think he'll do just fine. So maybe this is a chance where he can do that, and we'll see. But if he slowly morphs back into that old Roman, and he's right back to where he was before he left, you know, in just a couple of months' time, then I'm like, oh man, see, you teased us with a new attitude, and then he's right back to being same old Roman. So I think there's a chance, based on what we saw tonight, that Roman can be taken a little bit more seriously going forward. At least I hope. So what'd you guys think? I think most people like the fact that if Roman's coming back, he's going to be different. Nobody wanted old Roman, right? Yeah, tater tots and all that stuff and suffering succotash or whatever. You know, none of that stuff needs to ever happen again. I think the less that comes out of Roman's mouth, the better, especially if he's going to be, you know, kind of like a badass. And I wouldn't be opposed to forming an alliance with anyone, you know, maybe whether he's the leader of Retribution or maybe, you know, maybe he hooks up with Paul Heyman or something. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could do. You know, maybe Paul Heyman, we haven't seen him. Maybe Paul Heyman, since Brock's not doing anything, he's sitting back watching SummerSlam and wow, I like this Roman Reigns. I like this new attitude. I'm gonna approach Roman Reigns, you know, about maybe representing him, and I'll make sure he gets all the title shots he wants, kind of thing. Just an idea. I don't know. Just throwing shit out there. Thanks for that, Adrian. Roman beats Bray at next pay-per-view. Normal service resumed. You could be right. That is one thing that worries me, is because we got Payback coming up in 6 days. Surely they're not going to do it right away at Payback. But if Roman gets in there with Bray and does the same thing virtually that Goldberg did, I don't know. I mean, if you want Roman to be a heel, probably the best way to do it, right? Because he'll get booed for that, but I don't know. I hope it doesn't come that quick, but yeah, I mean, I think at this point, where before Goldberg, I predicted him to lose. I'm like, he's not going to win the title. They're not going to put all this energy in building Wyatt and then have him drop the belt before WrestleMania, are they? But they did. You know, so, but this time I feel like there's a reason, like, yeah, maybe the Fiend should lose here because there's a reason for it. The Goldberg stuff made no sense to me because he didn't need Goldberg, you know? He didn't need to be a WrestleMania. I know nobody gave a shit. You could have just done the Fiend and Roman at WrestleMania instead of Goldberg and Roman. But I think a lot of the, you know, WWE not wanting the fans to boo and shit like that played a role in that, and they don't really have to worry about that now since they can pipe in any boos and cheers that they want. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I didn't miss any supers, did I? I think I got them all. Cool. Oh, yeah, Naveed, all you need is Roman to get new gear. I'm kind of the same way. Maybe not. I mean, he doesn't have to be full-on new gear or anything like that, but a change would be nice. Maybe go shirtless. You know, I hate the vest. I hate that thing. So... but maybe that's just the look he prefers. I don't know. But yeah, I think some sort of a ring look change would be good for him. He needs to. Ooh, Roman and Goldberg at Survivor Series for the title. They're going to have to work something out with Goldberg. Goldberg did do an interview recently where he talked about that he does have 2 more years left on his current WWE deal, which calls for 2 matches per year. So he's exhausted those 2 already with Saudi Arabia and WrestleMania. So WWE would have to work something out for him. But I also think you could save that for next year, and just do it again or whatever. So we'll see. Yeah, well, the Fiend's matches aren't that great. He's wrestling with a lot of gear, and again, when you have a character like that, you don't, it's almost like Andre the Giant. The Andre and Hogan match. Have you guys ever watched that match from WrestleMania 3? It's considered the biggest match of all time. I was there. I saw it live. But the match in the ring, but it doesn't need. Sometimes there are cases where you can get away with it, and I think where the character is over the top as the Fiend, most fans probably are looking at the work in the ring secondary to the story that whatever the Fiend is involved in. At least I think. Thanks for 5 more, Zane. You are the super chat champ of the night so far. Now that Roman returned, only a matter of time before Lesnar comes back. Or Lesnar too. That's for sure. I think Lesnar. I don't know if he'll. I kind of want to hold off on him for the rest of the year. Because I feel like if he comes back now and anybody he faces, he'll lose to. I don't know. But I appreciate it, Zane. Thanks again for being so awesome. And you and Flaw have been the men tonight. With Lesnar, where would he land? I mean, I guess he could go back to... They can put Lesnar wherever they want. They don't need an explanation. But, last time we saw him was on Raw. You would think that Lesnar might want to come back and do something with Drew. But I think you can hold him off. I think you can hold off Lesnar for a while because you don't really need him right now. You got, the SmackDown world title situation is stacked right now. You might could use him on Raw, to be honest, because all you really have is Drew and Orton. But on SmackDown, you got Strowman and you've got The Fiend and you got Roman. You got a draft coming up where you could, maybe shift some of this balance a little bit and get some more players over there. Maybe move Strowman back to Raw if you want. I don't know. And I don't know what the future is going to be for Strowman. I don't know what his demeanor now is going to be on TV because he had talked about being changed by The Fiend and he's this new vicious guy, this big bad heel. You thought we were seeing some sort of a double turn, which I think we kind of still saw, but I'm not sure. And now what's he going to have to say for himself on Friday, when he comes out there and cuts the promo. So that's why I wonder, since Roman kind of beat the hell out of both of them, that they team up or something like that. And, Roman finds himself battling the both of them. Maybe a reformation of the Wyatt family or something like that. But, Roman didn't seem to have a whole lot of love for either guy. So they could. We'll see. WWE fan, appreciate the $2. I'm not a fan of the pumped in sounds on the pay-per-view. I'm iffy about it. I don't like it either. Sometimes I think it sounds really bad and really fake. But man, it's better than those assholes banging on the plexiglass. And it's good. We don't have the plexiglass either. With the Thunderdome, we don't have to worry about that shit anymore. I guess we'll have to see it on NXT. But, not having everybody pounding on that and stuff. And again, WWE, you got to just try things. These are different times. We're changing. Imagine if you were in a coma a year ago and you woke up today and you're a wrestling fan and you realize it's SummerSlam and you just woke up from your coma and you turn on SummerSlam. What must they be thinking when they're seeing that? They're probably like, what the fuck am I looking at here? How long have I been asleep? What's going on? What are all these people doing around? What's this virtual shit? Imagine what must be going through their head, to see this. So, these are different times. I think that the noise helps. I just think they have to be careful with how often and how frequent they do it and make sure they do it at the right times and they don't make it too obvious and too distracting. And that's something that they'll get better at, that they'll improve upon as time goes, because WWE, there's no training for this. Nobody ever thought they would have to pipe in the entire show worth of crowd noise and stuff and do it at the right time. So there are some times I think it sounds like shit, but overall, when you see the Thunderdome, you see the presentation tonight, what they gave us at SummerSlam, this is 1,000,000, and I stress 1,000,000 times better than was at the PC. So it's not all going to be perfect. Hey buddy, get down. I got a cat jumping up here. So it's not all going to be perfect. There's going to be some parts of it we don't like and some parts of it that we don't think that work. but that's also stuff that can be improved upon. We've seen that in both companies as well. As the pandemic started, AEW tried some things, WWE tried some things. WWE took ideas from AEW, like having the hard cam face the entrance ramp. And AEW slowly starting to let some fans in now. Now they've got social distancing pods, and they're trying to do all these things. There's nothing in the handbook for this, so they just got to go with it. And at least, I saw somebody tonight on Twitter, it said, how come WWE didn't come up with this Thunderdome idea for WrestleMania? I'm like, because the pandemic just happened. And at that time, you didn't know what the future was going to be. For all we knew, we'd be okay by SummerSlam. All right, it's going to suck until June. Nobody can do anything, but life can slowly start getting back to normal. And I think at first, in March, when, COVID really started getting serious, we probably all thought in our heads we'd be out of it by now. And that's because now not only is that not the case, but it's probably not going to be the case for some time. So WWE wouldn't want to spend millions and millions on a Thunderdome that they're going to use just for a couple of months and be done. I think as the weeks went on and it became more clear that having fans in an arena again is a long way away, that's when WWE pulled the trigger and said, all right, let's put $10 million into the greatest, setup that we can possibly imagine. Let's rent out the Amway Center for months, at a time, and let's produce all of our TV right here from the Thunderdome. And it takes a while to set that up. You can't just decide you want to do it tomorrow and then it's done. You have to construct it. You have to make it. You have to pay for it. You have to set it up. You have to test it. You have to do so many things. If anything, WWE, I think, put this together rather quickly. The fact that it's only August now and they've already kind of got, they realized, and props to them too for realizing the PC was not going to be a logical solution going forward because the ratings suck. And I'm not saying the ratings are going to double now. I don't think the ratings are even going to be that much better at first. But just for the fans, for us, for the people that watch every week, the experience is just greatly improved with the Thunderdome. So I think that's when the decision was made, when they realized that we ain't going to have fans back for a long time, so we have to find a solution other than the Performance Center. And AEW now their backs are up against the wall. Where's their Thunderdome? I only see 2 LeBarons, Freddie. Where's your LeBaron? Freddie got fingered? Nobody. So maybe now they're thinking like, oh shit, maybe we should try something like that. And I don't know if their announcement about having fans is maybe their knee-jerk reaction to the Thunderdome. I don't know. Provided that they're taking the necessary precautions and stuff. I still don't think it's a good idea, but they're trying to improve the quality of their television as well and trying to figure out ways to do that. And I think, WWE thought about that too. We heard all those reports weeks ago. WWE thinking about doing things where they can have limited number of fans in attendance. And they ultimately, I guess, decided not to do that and go with the Thunderdome stuff instead. And like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but I think it offers a lot. The faces they're funny, in the background there, but they don't distract me really. I don't find myself looking at them at all. I never looked at anybody's face throughout the whole night. I'm curious how it looks for them. I think there's a YouTuber, Deluxe Man maybe. Somebody was in the Thunderdome tonight from the YouTube community. Pretty sure it was him. So I'm curious like how that looks from their perspective. If I applied for the Thunderdome, would I just be able to watch it right here on my computer or what the hell? But it's funny because like they're watching what we're all seeing on TV. So like even though the wrestler is walking right by their face, it's not like they're looking right in front of them. I thought it would be funny if there was a concessions guy walking around trying to sell drinks to the computer screens. I think that would have been a nice touch just for comedy purposes. So I don't really hate it, and I don't think it got in the way. I don't think anybody really has succeeded in sabotaging it. We did get one Fire Velveteen Dream sign on the show tonight briefly, and we had the guy said on Twitter, he goes, "It was me, fuck you, Velveteen Dream," which I thought was funny. So you might have some people acting up or doing something, but I don't think that it was really that much of a distraction. I'm not really a technology guy. I don't understand how it works because I was always under the assumption that if you're watching something through a video link up or something, there's going to be a delay, and I don't know how the fans are able to react in real time to what's going on in the ring. I guess they all are. I'm like, all these people are watching their feeds are all synced up to the exact same. I guess if anybody was in the Thunderdome, let me know. What do? Are you sent a specific link from WWE? Is it like the Zoom link? Is that what it is? It's probably all just Zoom, right? Not sure how all that works, but it works. Like the fans they felt a little bit more enthusiastic than they were on Friday. On Friday, it was a lot of silence, a lot of this. a lot of fans thumbs up and thumbs down and things like that. And we saw some of that tonight too, but they were more vocal. You could tell that they were reacting to things that were happening. Even was it one of the matches? I think it was after this Asuka victory, like when she got the tap out and then the camera panned over to the audience like it normally would if it was a normal show. So, I'm optimistic with this. I can get used to it. And I think in time, you got to remember, this is only our second show of the Thunderdome. So a lot of these things that we might find distracting, we will probably be able to tune out and get used to as the shows keep happening here. And because don't forget, we got 2 of these a week, on Mondays and Fridays, plus pay-per-views. So I think some of the more distracting elements of it, as fans will probably get used to seeing as we go. And hell, by the time we get to have regular fans in the arena again, that's going to look weird to us, isn't it? We're going to be so used to this. We're going to be so used to the Thunderdome that when fans actually show back up to events, we're not, it's going to look weird. Okay, thank you for that, Millennial Smart. That has to be what it is. They're given a private link or a secret link that they can all be on, because otherwise there's no way that would match up. Even when you're watching on the network, everybody's a few seconds behind or a minute behind or ahead of others, and all that. And back when I would do my my Monday Night Raw watch-alongs and stuff, I'd be watching everything 2 minutes after everybody else did. So between the delay in the network and then the delay of your stream and all of that's kind of what happens. But it's probably different. I've only used Zoom once in my life, so that's probably why I'm clueless there. You guys can do me a favor and keep smashing that thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for another super chat from Nikita. I still like AEW setup more than WWE Thunderdome. You do. I have always liked AEW setup more than WWE until this Thunderdome. I think this is what you have to do. You have to go digital. When you can't have physical people there, you got to go digital. And AEW's lucky that they're such a cool place. Like, Daly's place is cool. I like the way it's opened, and I've mentioned this before. I just think the sunset in the background gives me such a warm feeling inside. Because I just love summertime and sun and water and ocean and blue skies and shit like that. So it's just my middle name. So like when I see that on Dynamite, I love it, and I think it's a nice touch, and it's just a very nice vibe. And the stadium is so much more open that you can put people around. You can actually have people there, I believe, and safely social distance. The only problem with that is you can't really hear them if there's only a few of them and they're spread out way up in the cheap seats and shit. How much noise can they add? How much noise factor can they really give the show? So the Thunderdome, I think, is a success. It's a more of a success than a failure, and it's a huge increase from the PC. So WWE has brought their game up with this, and they might even, I got Fighting Cats, hey, knock it off. They brought their game up here, and they might force AEW now. It's going to be interesting to see if they make any changes and tweaks to their show, because like I said, if we're still months and months away from fans ever returning to arenas again, the Daly's place, and that setup they've been doing has been going on for a long time. Are they going to be able to do 4 or 5 more months of that? Well, without the fans kind of getting bored of seeing that same old setup. But, luckily, Daly's place is such a beautiful facility that they can do things, and they're connected to the stadium there, so they can have a lot of, special matches like we've seen with the Stampede match and stuff. So they still do great, with the pandemic wrestling, but they might need to start thinking about making some changes themselves since WWE has upped their game so dramatically. That's what I think. But either way, I hope both companies continue to survive throughout this. I mean, AEW, they said the other day they've had more pandemic COVID-era shows than non-COVID era shows. Isn't that the most depressing thing you've ever heard? Because they just got off the ground. I mean, AEW was off to a great start. Dynamites were wonderful, ton of momentum, and then COVID hit and just crushed everything. And they still managed to survive, still putting on shows, drawing better ratings than NXT 90% of the time. And they should be proud of that they don't have that fan momentum support anymore, and they're still able to provide pretty decent quality TV with some pretty decent matches, despite everything. So AEW deserves a ton of credit, and WWE might have hit a home run with this Thunderdome. I think it's going to work, and it's going to make things easier, at least for a while. We'll reevaluate by the time we get to the end of the year. From what I understand, the Amway Center is rented through the end of the year. After that, they might have to change locations or renew their lease or whatever. But I don't think we're any closer to having fans back into the arena, and I really don't think WrestleMania is going to be here in LA. As a matter of fact, just today, I kind of conceded to not attend WrestleMania because there's so much up in the air with it, and I have a Hawaiian vacation that I have to leave for the very next day after WrestleMania. And what the fuck? Hold on. I had to smack some cats. Jesus. They're both really hungry. I forgot to feed them. So I kind of had to oh my God. I might have to get up. I might have a murder on my hands here. Hey, hang on. One of my cats is about to kill the other one. Hold on. What are you doing? Hey. All right. Sorry about that. I just really didn't want to have to clean up cat blood and a hair and dispose of a carcass if I could help it. You all right, buddy? I just spanked the perpetrator, the aggressor, which was Tito in that respect, or in this case. Anyway, it sucks because WrestleMania is so up in the air. I can't sit here and wait for WWE to figure out what they're going to do. Like, I got other shit to worry about. So I purposely didn't go last year in order to wait for this year for it to come to California, and now that's looking like a very unlikely possibility. And honestly, I hope it's not here because I'm going to be pissed, if it does turn out to go, if WrestleMania happens and everything's back to normal and then I can't go because I've already made my plans elsewhere. But I'm banking on the fact that we're going to be in the Thunderdome for a long time. And even if WrestleMania is able to have fans, I don't think it's going to be here. I think they should keep it in Florida and go to Tampa, and maybe come here the following year after that or something. I don't know. But unfortunately, it looks like I'm conceding WrestleMania and won't be watching it. And I'm probably gonna have to watch it from Hawaii because I'll be there. So you might get a Hawaiian live stream, and I will do my best to do a live stream after WrestleMania, regardless. But it's gonna be different this year. It's not gonna be me having the weekend off, hanging out with you guys all these days in a row. It's coinciding with some personal stuff, but I'm still gonna try to make it work. But unfortunately, because of COVID, I don't think I'm gonna attempt WrestleMania at all. Are you guys still? I'm gonna kill both of you. Anyway, so that's that. Deshaun Robinson, appreciate the $2. The current Amway contract runs through October. Oh, that's all? October 30th? I thought it was the end of the year. Damn. That's soon. I just kind of think that they should be there for a while, Cat fight, yeah. Jesus, man. And I knew it too. I was just running out of time. I wanted to come up, as soon as the show went off the air, but I wanted to update a couple of things like the thumbnail and the overlay and stuff. And I always mean to feed them so they won't bother me during the stream, and I forgot. So they're both hungry and they're both being little pieces of shit right now. But that's okay. I can deal with it. Thank you, Stone Cold, for the $2. Old out of touch Vince did Thunderdome, not AEW. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's all Vince's idea, but I'm sure, ideas were presented to him and the company as a whole came up with this, this idea. And plus, they have more experience than this. The AEW has not really been a traveling promotion for very long. WWE's been at this shit for 60 years, all these different eras and Titantrons and productions and setups and everything. They have more experience with this type of stuff and probably are more capable of coming up with a concept like the Thunderdome than AEW is, at least from a technical standpoint and stuff and production standpoint. Justin Kong Lang, thank you for the $5. Why did Triple H and Brock have a program, or why didn't Triple H and Brock have a program back in 2002? Was it because Triple H not wanting to work with Brock or lose to him? It might have been, especially back in 2002. And Triple H was really starting to have that it don't work for me, brother type of attitude, at least according to the fans. And that was right around the time that his reign of terror began, and he just mowed down everybody, won every pay-per-view match imaginable, pissing off everybody. Him losing to Brock probably wouldn't have worked. I might have kept them separate anyway, and built them for like a 2003 or 2004 feud or something like that. Have them be dominant champs on both brands and then collide in some inter-promotional thing. Yeah, they didn't really work at all. I was at one show where they did. I was at a show. I was at a Raw. Can't remember where it was. It's got to be either Virginia or the Carolinas. Daniel, if you're here, help me. Where was this? And it was right before SummerSlam 2002, and it was a tag match. And I'm pretty sure it was The Rock and Triple H. I'm pretty sure it was The Rock and Triple H against like Brock and somebody. Or no, it was maybe it was Brock and Triple H versus The Rock and somebody. I can't remember. Shawn Michaels got involved, and that was the first time I had seen Shawn Michaels get really physical since 1998. I was there to see it live, and I remember from my seat, I think I was sitting on the hard cam side because I remember being kind of up there, and I saw Shawn dive over the top rope onto somebody, probably Triple H, and that was all leading up to SummerSlam. And I can't remember what that match was or what, but I'm pretty sure it was a tag. And I know Brock and Triple H mixed it up, I think, a little bit in that. Maybe that was before Triple H turned heel on Shawn, and maybe he teamed up with Rock when they were both baby faces. I don't remember what the fuck. But it was something like that in 2002. But yeah, I think if they were going to do a Brock Triple H feud, I might have waited a year and not done it in 02 because Brock had just got, he'd barely been launched. He didn't beat The Rock until SummerSlam. So you give him a year as champion, then he's the man. A following year, put him in the ring with Reign of Terror Evolution Triple H. Might have had something there. Oh, Rock, Triple H, and Brock had a triple threat match on pay-per-view in 2002? No, they didn't. On pay-per-view? The Rock came back right after Austin walked out. He was at the King of the Ring, but I don't think he wrestled. And then I think he won the match won the title at the next show in the triple threat. Or maybe he did win it at King of the Ring. No, there's no way they did, dude, because fucking Brock worked. He won King of the Ring, then he beat Van Dam at the next pay-per-view, then he beat Rock at SummerSlam, and then Rock was gone. I don't know what pay-per-view that is, but I trust you, Barry, because my memory is a mess. So I'll trust you. Oh, global warming. That doesn't even count. Global warming doesn't count. I was about to say, no way. Okay, so technically you're right, but come on. It's global warming. I know, Mike Witt, we're all very excited to see Keith Lee heading to Raw. I'm excited too. That obviously was the plan, from last night based on how Karrion Kross put him down. And, Keith Lee forfeited one title and then lost the other one on the same night they crowned the new champion. I thought that was weird. And the only explanation for that is they probably were going to move him up to the main roster and have Karrion be the man on NXT for a while. But now that Karrion is hurt, I'm worried. I'm hoping that he can just work through the injury and stay champion. You just don't want a guy like that who you put over in much the same way that you put Brock over. I mean, Karrion Kross's run from the top, from his debut to the matches he's had so far on pay-per-view and TV into that match with Keith Lee, very similar trajectory that Brock had in 2002. And could you imagine SummerSlam 2002, Rock beats Brock? Wait, reverse that. Brock beats Rock. Next night on Raw, reveals he's got an injury and forfeits the title? Oh my God, Brock might have never even been who he is now if that had happened. So think about what that did to the Demon. Think about the damage that injury did to the Demon. They put him over in the main event of SummerSlam, winning their championship as their inaugural champion. That told me that they had plans for Balor. Got hurt, gone, never the same again. So let's hope and fingers Karrion crossed that Karrion is going to be all right. What a kick to the gut. I'm still bummed about that. I had dreams about that last night. I was so sad. Thank you, Barry. Look up global warming. Yeah, I know. Global warming. I have it. It's somewhere. It's up there. I've never seen it, but I own it. I didn't even know it was in Australia. I thought that was like a UK deal. Thoughts on Ciampa returning to NXT? I think if Ciampa does, and here's another, I'm glad you said that, Ryan, because as it relates to Karrion Kross and how they move forward with this, if it does turn out that he's injured, I think if he is injured and he can't defend the title, I don't want to see the forfeit thing. I want to see an angle. I want to see an injury angle. Maybe Ciampa attacks him, injures a shoulder or some shit like that, and then forcing him to kind of put out, to relinquish the title. Maybe Ciampa wins it. And then when Kross comes back, he just destroys Ciampa, like in a 30-second match when he comes back. Like I know I hate to say that about Ciampa. I love him. But beat him so crazy hard. Like the minute he's back, I want my title. You can do it on NXT. You don't have to do it on a pay-per-view. Just do it on NXT, have a title match, and Karrion just destroys him in under a minute, winning the belt back, and then you just resume. Hit the reset, or hit the resume button, and just keep going in the same direction you were going to go prior to him getting hurt, and have Ciampa be the placeholder before then. I just can't see Kross. I can't see his character giving one of those speeches in the ring where he has to hand the belt to Triple H. I don't think that's who Karrion Kross is. I think you need to do something in storyline to explain this instead of being real about it. And just kayfabe it and have him attacked behind the scenes, or just show him being laid out somewhere or something, and then it turns out to be Ciampa is the one that did it. And hell, after that, I mean, if that turns out to be the case, you could bring Cross back as a babyface, you know, because now Ciampa can maybe go back to being that evil Ciampa, and he's got the belt, and you know, and he can wreak havoc for several weeks, couple months, however long it takes for Cross to get better, and then Cross comes back, reclaims his trophy, and moves on to what he was doing. I think something like that would be the best way to do it, some sort of an injury angle. I just can't see him coming out there and doing the Finn Balor speech, you know. Just doesn't seem like something he would do. Oh, good, Victor. Thank you for that. You guys can help me out on the Cross update. So Cross said he shouldn't be out for that long. Well, that's good. If he can, maybe there's a chance they can still keep the belt on him. I just think it would be just a huge step back for them to have that win over a guy like Lee and then not be able to move forward and continue it. I hope he keeps the belt. I hope he does. No, Mike, they've calmed down. They know they're in trouble. Both of them. No more cat fighting over here. Oh yeah, that was Angle and Taker and who's Rick? Oh, Rock. I was like, who the fuck is Rick? Yeah, Rock, Taker, and Angle triple threat. That was King of the Ring, I think. Yeah, and that's what we want to avoid, Zane. You know, Cross, his build-up has been like Brock, but he's ending up like Balor. And let's hope that's not the case, you know. And I think there's a chance that there's not. I mean, because for them to put him over that quickly like that, you know, that tells me that they want him, you know. And I said that before. I'm like, I'm not saying we're ever going to find another Brock. We probably won't. But in terms of like recent history, this is your best chance to have anybody even close to that. You know, in terms of what Cross has done since he got there and his rise to the top that happened so quickly. Vengeance 02. That's right. Thank you for that. And there was still some Raw in there somewhere. I can't remember when it was. If it was before King of the Ring or if it was before SummerSlam. It was sometime in the summer of 2002. I was there. I know it was a tag involving Triple H and Brock. And I think The Rock and Shawn Michaels got involved and dove over the top rope and did all this crazy stuff. I was there for that show. I don't even know where it was. I don't even know what city it was in. All I know is I was there. I was there. Yeah, we didn't get any Riddle tonight on SummerSlam. Somebody said they thought the Riddle and Baron Corbin match was going to happen tonight. I did too, but they never announced it, so I guess they're just going to blow that whole thing off at SummerSlam, and that's fine, you know. We also had Jeff Hardy winning the Intercontinental title on Friday, which, again, was surprising because, you know, that's a match that they could have scored. You know, the pay-per-view ended pretty early tonight. They could have squozed that match in here. You know, I have such a deep love for, like, Intercontinental title defenses at SummerSlam. You know, some of the best ones ever. You know, like Honky getting squashed by the Warrior in 88. Warrior beating Rude in 89. Tornado beating Perfect in 90. Brett beating Perfect in 91. Bulldog beating Brett in 92. We had a couple of other like really good. Didn't RVD and Eddie have a match at maybe not SummerSlam. We've had some other good Intercontinental title matches, but a lot of those old school ones, you know, it feels like it goes hand in hand. You should always have just a solid, good Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam every year between two really good Hall of Fame wrestlers. I was in attendance for SummerSlam 2000. My 20th anniversary review of that is on my channel, by the way, so check it out. And I saw Chyna win the Intercontinental title at that SummerSlam, but that was like an intergender tag. You know, just give me Hardy and AJ for the title. That match on paper belongs at SummerSlam. So I'm happy they gave it to us on Friday and everything on Fox, but there was room. It's not like there wasn't room for it on the show. There was plenty of room and plenty of time that the show even ended a little bit early. I think it was just a 3-hour pay-per-view. One of the shorter ones we've seen in a while. A couple of years there, SummerSlam was going 4 hours, wasn't it? So I think they could have added it. Yeah, RVD and Benoit, that's right. Yeah, and Riddle versus Corbin will probably be at Payback. Yeah, they got to build that. So now we got go home shows that are also post pay-per-view shows. So we have to have a fallout for one show and build another, all in the matter of one show. And WWE can't even book a Raw or SmackDown to save their life normally. I don't know how the hell they're going to pull any of this shit off. So tomorrow, hopefully Raw from the Thunderdome will be pretty decent. And we'll see something good, you know. We better. Rock vs. Triple H ladder match is also a 5-star match. It's a good match. What I liked about that one, I'm assuming you're talking about SummerSlam 98, is it was different because prior to then, we had seen some pretty spectacular ladder matches with like Shawn and Razor. They were a little bit more, less flashy, you know, less moonsaults off the top and less splashes with the camera flash bulbs going on in the background. And they were more just brutalizing and beating the shit out of each other with the ladder. You know, we got some blood, which was great, which we got in neither one of the Shawn and Razor ladder matches, both of which are considered two of the best of all time. And nobody got busted open or anything there. And, you know, Rock was bleeding, and there was so much outside interference and extracurricular activity, and some of the bumps on the ladder, they were more brutal and less spectacular, which is why I appreciated that match so much, because it didn't look as fancy, as flashy as a Shawn match, but man, those bumps were every bit as brutal, if not more so. You know, the way they were getting slammed on it and everything. And I thought the finish was great. And with Chyna getting involved and Triple H grabbing the thing, the powder in his eyes, and, you know, MSG going nuts in the background behind him. Great match. And he wasn't even able to have his run either. SummerSlam's cursed because right after that, Triple H had to forfeit the title too, and they had a tournament for it. Correct? I think he forfeited the title. Pretty sure he did. Or maybe he lost in some sketchy-ass way. I can't remember, but he was hurt. And Triple H wasn't even really able to defend it, which sucks. Oh, I did? Adrian, I'm sorry about that. I missed your earlier super chat regarding Brock. Well, let me scroll up and find you. What color was it? Blue? Blue. There's Nikita. Oh, no, it's green. Thanks, dude, for the fiver up there. Didn't see that somehow. I missed that. I apologize. I can see Brock inserting himself into Randy and Drew feud. Yeah, I can too, because that seems like that's the only place for Brock at this point. There's nothing for him on SmackDown. And for him on Raw, you know, the guy who beat him for the belt has got the belt. And he has no other real legitimate contenders, I don't believe, other than Randy Orton. So unless you move some people around in the draft, I feel like, you know, maybe Brock should make an appearance. But I'd also be fine with Brock chilling till the end of the year. You know, we don't really need him. We don't need him. Plus, you know, Paul Heyman promos are so much better in front of an audience, you know, because he's really good at, like, not only them reacting to him, but he's good at reacting to them. He can ad-lib like nobody's business, you know. Heyman is really good at that, kind of reacting to some of the shit the audience is saying to him and stuff. So to have him in that environment would be better. But I don't know. You know, now with Roman back, you know, does WWE want to slowly try to get themselves back to full strength, bring Brock back into the mix, bring Daniel Bryan back into the mix? Because other than Bryan, who's missing now? Owens is back. You know, Sami Zayn kind of, but I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon, really. We might. But other than Daniel Bryan, who's really missing? You know, like what other major name isn't there right now that Roman's here? So you get Bryan back and you get Brock back. Still got AJ. Still got Drew. Still got Orton. Got Roman, Strowman, The Fiend, and all these other guys. And hopefully we've got a Big E push for the title coming up on the horizon. How cool would that be? I would actually be into that. That would have to be a ways down the road. But if you put the belt on Roman now as a heel, and what if babyface Big E beats him? That'd be a big win for Big E. And I'm sure Roman would have no problem whatsoever putting Big E over. It's going to have to be WWE's call on that, because he's more than earned it. I love what he said on Talking Smack. You know, I saw the little bit there where The Miz was talking to him and echoing a lot of what the fans have been saying, and a lot of things that I've been hearing too, like in the chat and podcasts and stuff, is that Big E has to be a little more serious and he has to be like a killer and all of that. And I didn't want to see Big E turn heel. A lot of people thought Big E should turn heel and all that. And I'm like, well, then you can't utilize like how crazy entertaining he is and how much fun. I'm not saying he can't go heel or be heel one day or be heel down the road, but you should try to let him dance with what brung him kind of first, because he's been so entertaining and he's so good and so charismatic and everything. That's why all the fans got behind him in the first place. So let him run with that for a while. And he kind of told Miz, he's like, man, I don't need to be anybody. I just want to be myself. And when I want to, he goes, you saw me get serious, didn't you? And Miz is like, yeah, honestly, you did. He goes, when I need to get serious, I can get serious. Other than that, let me have my fun. Let me have a good time. Let me be who I'm going to be. And I'm not going to be anybody in anybody else's vision than my own kind of thing. And I like what he said. He's right. So I was like, preach it, Biggie. So I liked everything that he said there, and I'm glad and I'm happy to hear that he's probably going to maintain and continue being this fun-loving guy, but being a guy that when he needs to turn it on and when he needs to get serious, he can. And maybe that would be something for Big E down the road, winning the title, beating somebody like Roman for it. The YouTube community. Yeah. All right. Did I miss anybody? Nope. I got you, Justin. I got you. I got, Deshaun. What's up, dude? Thanks for 2 more. Alistair and Owens should be the next 2 contenders. Yeah, maybe that's why. I mean, it's just weird. Like Owens, I'm trying to think of what they were doing before. Alistair was defending Mysterio, and then he kind of got jumped by Seth and Murphy. I had suggested Alistair as one of the candidates to be behind Retribution. I think he'd be a great leader of any sort of group like that. We said that about the Monday Night Messiah. And actually, speaking of contenders, Deshaun, you should throw Seth Rollins into that mix too. I kind of thought that he would be a good guy to be the leader of a faction. And when you look at the Monday Night Messiah and Seth Rollins, I think that's a role better suited for Alistair than Rollins. I think it would even be cool if like Alistair replaced him as the Monday Night Messiah or something like that, and teamed up with Murphy, and they formed a little stable, and then Seth went out on his own or whatever. But with Owens kind of randomly inviting Alistair to be a guest on the Kevin Owens show, you haven't even heard Alistair Black's name mentioned on TV in quite a while, and all of a sudden Owens is like, yeah, I want him to be on the Kevin Owens show. So that's got to be something, right? That's got to be interesting. Can't be boring if they went out of their way to announce this at SummerSlam. So tomorrow we should see something pretty awesome, especially if it's Retribution related with either guy. Maybe Kevin Owens is secretly the guy behind Retribution. Maybe it's Alistair Black. We'll see. If those guys surround the ring when Owens and Alistair are in there, I think that's a very big possibility, because they have already messed with Owens' mic before, and when they first started making their presence known. So I think as Black and Owens are in the ring, you will see Retribution, I think, make an appearance in that. They'll either appear there or in whatever Drew does tomorrow, which will probably be a promo with Orton, I would think. Oh, I don't know, Zane, any word on the Hall of Fame? I kind of forgot about the Hall of Fame. You heard Renee refer to JBL as a Hall of Famer. Well, he technically is, I guess he hasn't had his full induction yet, but he would have been a Hall of Famer, right, this past year. We thought they might try to add the ceremony to SummerSlam had we had fans, had it been in Boston, but I don't know. I think WWE just has to not. That's one thing that I think WWE's even kind of put on the back burner. We haven't mentioned anything about it. There's no way for them to really do it unless they wanted to do it virtually. We see the Democratic and the Republican conventions all going on virtually. They're going on just fine, and they're different, but they're working. So it's not like WWE can't do something like that too for the Hall of Fame if they wanted. But for the fan experience and for the people going in, I would rather it be a regular Hall of Fame. Maybe they should suspend the Hall of Fame until COVID is over. Maybe we get 2 years without the Hall of Fame, and then they bring it back and try to make up ground or something on what they missed, because we still have to get the NWO and Batista and JBL and Liger and guys like that in, before we do another class. So I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you rectify that at all. It sounds like a mess. Sucks, but is what it is, as my mom would say. It's her favorite phrase. She says it all the time. Never shuts up. It is what it is. Thank you, Adrian, for that. I appreciate it. Greg, going to head, Greg, 5:15 a.m. in Ireland. Damn, bro. It is 9:15 in the evening here. So, yes, you get some sleep. I always appreciate you tuning in from Ireland. You're fun, and thanks for being here, and thanks for staying up late, dude. Catch us tomorrow. We'll be back up here. If you're awake, we'll be reviewing Monday Night Raw. tomorrow night. Flaw off topic, what are those NES games behind you? Oh, all the favorite ones I played as a kid. The Double Dragons, all the Marios. I've got Excite Bike, Jaws, Burger Time, Arch Rivals, Skate or Die, Pac-Man, 1942, RBI Baseball, Tetris, Double Dribble, Blades of Steel. What else is up there? A few wrestling games, WrestleMania the Arcade, RC Pro-Am, 1943, Gunsmoke, Paperboy, California Games, Goonies, Spy Hunter, Pro Wrestling, the original Black Box Pro Wrestling, and the glare is on 3 of them that I can't read from the light over here. So, yeah, I still got the old school NES. I got the NES Mini, the little plug and play, and I still like to play those old school games. But that's all I play. I don't play modern games. Don't have an Xbox or none of that stuff. I should start learning how to like play games on my computer, because I know there's a way to do that, right? If I wanted to play old NES games just right on my computer, can't I do that somehow? Is there a way I can use a controller? And how do I do it? What do I download? Send me a DM on Twitter or something. One day I would like to maybe simplify what I do, because I have a Retron 5 which plays cartridges, like emulates some cartridges for Genesis and Super Nintendo and Nintendo and all that. And I use that. I used to play like NBA Jam and shit like that. So if there's an easier way, let me know. I'm kind of illiterate when it comes to that stuff. I should get a Twitch channel and start streaming some Mario Brothers or something. Yep. Hell yeah. Pro Wrestling with Starman. He was a character I always played with. Everybody played with Starman. He was the best one. He had that cool like flying forearm smash move, and he could do that stuff. Yeah, I'm thinking it just sucks, though. I'm thinking they should just do the Hall of Fame without fans. But, you know, just the experience would just be shitty. But probably going to have to do it so you can move on to an actual class, you know, when it's time to do another one. Otherwise, it's going to be a few years before anybody goes in again if you wait to do this current class. Or they might they might not get a ceremony at all. It might just be they're in the Hall of Fame now. You have to consider that. Especially when you hear Renee referring to JBL as a Hall of Famer. Maybe they're just Hall of Famers now. Batista's a Hall of Famer. He just never got to do a speech, which would suck. They could. I could see them. I could see this, and it wouldn't even be bad, considering how impossible it is to sit through 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. If they just did on Raw 1 week. Hall of Fame ceremony. Everybody has the night off. We're going to do the Hall of Fame. And you bring everybody out, do a short speech. You know, anybody who lives here can be there in person. You know, Batista can be in the Thunderdome and do his speech. You can probably bring the NWO into the Thunderdome if you wanted. Because I know Nash has got a place in Florida. He lives right there on the beach somewhere, so it ain't far for him. I'm sure everybody else can get there. The only one you might have issue with is Liger. He might have to do a virtual type of deal. But that's what I would do. I would do it on Monday Night Raw. Maybe near the end of the year, or maybe in January prior to the Royal Rumble. Attach it to that somewhere, because, you know, if there was going to be fans and there was no COVID right now, I was under the assumption that here in LA next year, it would be The Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame after that 5-part documentary and him kind of officially saying he's done, and the Boneyard match and all of that, him to finally go into the Hall of Fame this year in LA is what I thought was going to happen. But, you know, if I was Undertaker, that's one guy I would wait on. You know, there's two, you know, everything would be better with an audience, but I think there's 2 things you absolutely have to wait for: Undertaker Hall of Fame induction and CM Punk return. Anything else, you just have to concede that you're just going to have to do it in the Thunderdome. But if there is anything to actually wait on until fans are allowed to return, it would be those 2 things in my book. I just think, I think Taker needs to be there, or fans need to be there for Taker. AEW overuses managers and factions. Boy, you would have hated WWE in 1997. Remember the tagline to Survivor Series in 1997? The whole damn company was factions. The whole thing. Bariquas and DOA and DX and Nation and... fuck, who else? There's more. Los Bariquas. Greg Gagne, the leader of Retribution. I laugh, but that would work. Greg Gagne, he's got a reason to want retribution on WWE for murdering his father's business the way they did. The only problem is young fans wouldn't get it. They don't get anything. Renee can be Ambrose's manager in AEW. I like that I like that Mox, he mentioned Renee, or he mentioned his wife in his promo last night on Dynamite. I did happen to catch that. Still haven't gone back and watched the rest of Dynamite. I only saw what I saw, but I liked the Mox promo. And he was talking about MJF, talking shit about him. He's like, man, you didn't even mention any of the good stuff. He goes, you just got to talk to my wife, and she'll give you a whole list of things to complain about me. But you said all the dumb ones. Corporation. Well, the Corporation and the Ministry weren't around in 97, but that year in 97, they had so many factions. Everybody was in a group, all of them. All of the members of Retribution are sons of AWA stars. Problem is, all of those guys are too old now. I mean, shit. Nobody even has. So who was in the AWA that has a son wrestling currently? Bob Orton passed through, I think. No, I can't even remember any Bob Orton AWA matches. He might not have been there. There's nobody, man. I think Rocky Johnson might have had a match there. Whose sons? Curtis Axel would be the only guy, and he just got released because Larry and Kurt both worked. His grandfather and his father worked in AWA. So Axel would be the only guy. Maybe Bray Wyatt. And Rotundo, I'm sure, worked there once, maybe. Maybe not. Rotundo worked a lot in the NWA as well. Yeah, there's nobody really. Lanza was there, along with Mulligan. So yeah, I guess Wyatt would work. Bo Dallas. Not many, man. I'd have to really think about it. Yeah, well, yeah, NWA, I think, kind of was a faction. That was a group because it was Cornette led it, and I think did you have Rock and Roll there? Or no, you had the New Midnight Express, and then you had Jarrett. And I think you had Wyndham. They tried to bring Wyndham back kind of in as a singles, but that was it. So I guess technically they were a faction, but they were also trying to be a company at the same time, which is kind of weird. Yeah, that was all. That was more 98 though than 97. Bad News Barrett is the leader. Harper winning the title, I was fine with that. I was glad Brody Lee won because I feel like, they brought him in as a big deal. They brought him in as the leader of this Dark Order faction, and then they put him in the title match with Moxley so quick, and then he lost. I'm like, man, if he loses to Cody now, that's going to suck. And I didn't think Cody was even going to drop the TNT Championship until the final belt was made, because I think Cody needs some photo ops with that too. We need to see him on TV with that belt a little bit, and they took it off of him really quick, literally in his second defense with the new belt. He dropped it to Brody Lee, so I like that. He should probably be the champion based on who his character is, and he's the leader of that crazy-ass Dark Order, and, it gives him more credibility now and that sort of thing. And, Cody has had plenty of title defenses. He's defended it every week. He's got to have all these good matches. He's had a nice little run, and based on the frequency of his title defenses, I definitely think it was a good time for him to cough it up, and we'll see. I think a lot of people are kind of getting over him anyway, being champion. Oh, that would be a good idea, Ryan. When Ray was handcuffed tonight on SummerSlam, if Chavo would have shown up, how cool would that have been? I'd have been down with that. I think Chavo is kind of, he's more working with AEW at the moment. I know he's turned up in a Being the Elite, I think. He was on the cruise as well. Saw him on the Jericho cruise. I know, Flaw 97 gave us the Artist, formerly known as Goldust, and Rikishi as the Sultan. Man, the Sultan was bad. That was so bad. Yeah, the Artist came in kind of at the end. He was still regular Goldust, and then all that shit happened with Pillman, and that sucked, and Pillman died, and that kind of messed up his relationship with Terry a little bit, because you knew she was going to turn on him. Had Pillman not died, she would have turned on Goldust and stayed with him. And then he became all crazy. And I remember at the end of the year, he came out on that Raw that was in Lowell, Massachusetts, home of Shawn Michaels' Tears. He cries in that building every time he's there. And he came out and the Christmas tree, dressed as a Christmas tree. And then after that, we'd start getting the ball gags and everything else that he would do. Oh, my God. The Artist, formerly known as Goldust. Great times, man. Go back and watch that now. Show your mom that. See what she thinks. I don't think Buck Zumoff has a son in the business. Buck Zumoff, I think, is doing some time. He did some creepy, perverted shit. And when you look at him, it ain't surprising. Doesn't he just look like somebody that would have a bunch of kids in his basement or something? That creepy-ass mustache and that mullet. He did a few jobs in WWE. Oh, yeah, he was born again. That was awful. And I remember, I liked that. That was a swerve. That was a swerve I didn't see coming. Because Dustin showed up on Raw. He burned the Goldust outfit. I remember that. And he's like, Goldust is dead. And I was amped for that. Like, I marked out for that. I'm like, wow, he's going to go back to being Dustin Rhodes. He's going to be awesome. But he sucked, you know, and he was carrying around. And then once he was back to being Dustin and they realized it sucked, then he started going through the crowd with the he's coming back stuff. And it looked like it was some evangelical shit. And he's talking about like God coming back or something. But the he was talking about was Goldust. And he showed back up and he kicked Val Venus in the nuts or something like that. I like that. I like that swerve because I didn't see that coming. I thought they were done with Goldust. But they realized that Dustin is kind of nothing without Goldust, at least at that time, and put the gimmick back with him. He's had a couple of times where he shit on the gimmick. I mean, it's turned out to be what's going to ultimately make him a Hall of Famer. You know, very unique gimmick. Nothing ever like it, and nothing there's ever been like it. And he made it work, and he did it well. And for him to repeatedly on TV crap on the character so many times, he burned the outfit on Raw. Then he jumped to WCW with 7 and shit all over both of the gimmicks. I'm sure he probably had something nasty to say about Goldust if he was ever in TNA or something like that. But he always kept coming back in. Came back in 2002 with the Rumble as Goldust, and then left again, came back, left again, came back. And Goldust turned out to be a character that lasted over 20 years in the company, from 95 way past 2015, right? So I think Dustin should be proud of Goldust, and I think he is now, but I think he struggled with it a lot earlier on in his life, you know, not wanting to be just known for being Goldust or just known for being Dusty's kid, but he should be proud of what he did with the Goldust character, because I remember when he signed in 95 and all of the talk on the hotlines about what Dustin's gimmick was going to be. And when the rumors started about him wearing a wig and doing all this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, they're going crazy. And when he debuted, I'll never forget, I have the magazine. It's here. It's like a Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Might not be a PWI. One of the magazines. Right after Goldust debuted, with him on the cover, and it says, finally, the WWE has gone too far. Imagine that headline now in 2020. They'd get all sorts of shit for that, for not being PC. What do you mean they've gone too far? So he likes to wear a wig. What's the big deal? Have you ever seen Sonny Kiss? You know, so the fact that that was so taboo, you know, they're like, oh my God, he's a transvestite, or you know, he's a cross-dresser, or he's gay, or God forbid he's gay. Oh my God, call the police. Just the way the fans were reacting, the way parents were complaining. I don't want to see it. The way, and the promos too. Remember Razor and Piper? You know, Razor didn't want to work with him, and then Piper came on TV and is like, you know, I got 6 kids, and I don't want them seeing somebody like you on TV. I'm like, why not? What's going to happen to them if they see somebody like Goldust on TV? I saw Goldust on TV. I turned out fine, I think. Am I fine? I might not be fine. But I always remember that headline and be like, oh man, boy, they were really freaking out back then. So that gimmick, upon its debut, was panned hard. Like in the dirt sheets and the magazines, everybody said it was disgraceful. It was offensive. I never thought it was offensive. I thought it was different. And I thought it was something that we've never seen, and WWE having the guts to go in a direction like that at that time with a character like that wouldn't be anything to do that now. It'd be normal everyday shit to see that in 2020. But in 1995, it was offensive. Parents were mad. Oh my God, my parents can't see a guy in a wig and gold face paint. What's going to happen to him? They're going to grow up as crazy people or something. Like, come on. Watching Goldust isn't a gateway drug to becoming a pedophile or anything, but the way people were freaking out about it always tickled me, you know, especially looking back now where we are in society and stuff. But man, I remember hearing about different ideas for Goldust. And I remember one specific rumor I remember hearing on a hotline that they had his gimmick. He was basically going to be like what the Smoking Guns were, you know, their tag team when they had the hat and the coat and they would fire the guns off in the ring, and they had a gimmick for him called the Gunslinger. And I remember, like, I remember hearing this in my head. It's like, it's all but a done deal. When Dustin Rhodes debuts in WWF, he'll be known as the Gunslinger. So I was thinking it was going to be some sort of cowboy gimmick or whatever. And then they hit you in the face with Goldust. I'm like, whoa, that's not what I was expecting. But you did hear that it was going to be him. And then they ran the little spots on TV where it was, I guess it was like a Hollywood star and it was covered in gold. And the gold would blow away and you would hear Howard Finkel's voice in the background saying, from Hollywood, California, Goldust. But you didn't see anybody's face, but you knew. And right then, like, the hotlines reported it, like, that gimmick is going to be Dustin Rhodes, that Goldust gimmick. So when it debuted at that In Your House, it was weird for the time, but certainly didn't offend me in any way. And I don't know why it took Dustin so long to appreciate the work he did with that gimmick, because he did a phenomenal job. And he took the heat. He took it at first. Man, everybody was so offended by the gimmick, and he doubled down on that bitch. You know, drawing hearts on his chest and grabbing Razor's tits and everything. You know, not only did he weather the storm, he embraced it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be as offensive as possible just to piss off you crazy people out there. And he should be proud of that he didn't give it up and he didn't succumb to the pressure, or WWE didn't succumb to the pressure. And they kept it going and turned Goldust into a multi-dimensional character that, you know, he kind of played a certain role at one point, you know, but they didn't come out and say he was a gay or anything. He was more like playing mind games with his opponents, freaking out the homophobes, that sort of thing. But as the character grew in the next couple of years, you saw all different parts of his personality, his personal life, his marriage with Marlena. We saw a couple of heel and babyface runs, some of the promo work he can do, and you just got to know Goldust a lot more by the time you fast forward to 20 years. You know, that is a Hall of Fame gimmick and a Hall of Fame character. Much like The Undertaker, upon its initial debut, you might thought was a little weird or cheesy or hokey or might not work. But it did, because Goldust made it work, just like Mark made The Undertaker work, just like Glenn made Kane work. And Dustin should be proud. He should be proud of that gimmick. He's still in there. I saw him on Dynamite last night throwing a Canadian Destroyer in there. It looked like shit, but he still did it. He's in his 50s. And Dustin, if you're listening, because I know you are, you love this channel. You're always here, super chatting. I'm kidding. We love you. Good job with that Goldust gimmick. Knocked a home, hit it out of the park. And Mike, I don't think Dusty's reaction was good at first, you know, because he probably thought it was a WWE's way of fucking with him too, because they've already done that. They named a character, they named Ted DiBiase's bodyguard after him, and then when he got to the company, they put him in polka dots. So why wouldn't he think that they're trying to brainwash his kid and do everything to tarnish the name of the Rhodes family? I can see why Dusty thought that. I think he did. But lucky for us, we had a happy ending there, because Dusty and Dustin did not speak for about 5 years. They finally came back together and rekindled their relationship. Even had, you know, some time in the WWE to spend together. Cody and Dustin put Dusty in the Hall of Fame together. And it could not have ended that way, especially with the tension and the heat and the ribbing and the, you know, and the over-the-top nature of the Goldust character. We might not have gotten a happy ending there. You know, we might have gotten a father and son forever estranged, you know, because wrestling and relationships got in the way of that. So very happy that those two were able to become father and son before Dusty's passing. But yeah, Dustin deserves a lot of credit, man. I've always had respect for him. Yeah, and early on in his debut, he had the ears painted black, and that didn't work. You know, he had to change that up a little bit too. He was way too yellow. He was more yellow at first than gold, if you noticed that. His outfit was just bright yellow. His face paint was yellow. The only thing that was gold was the shit that was falling down from the ceiling. But he eventually kind of more transitioned to more of a gold look than a yellow look. So, you know, it evolved. The character evolved. A lot. Yeah, the Booker run was fun, you know, seeing those two together and seeing Goldust's comedic side that came out more and more as the years went on. I loved his run with Cody. I love when they beat the Shield for the tag team titles. One of my favorite matches on Raw of all time. Great moment. Especially for, you know, a modern moment. You don't get shit like that very often. Whatever year that was, you guys help me. Sometime between 2011 and 2014. I know they won the belts there. That was good. For real, DM23 says Roman got some new teeth. I didn't even see his face. Did he really get new teeth? Damn, Roman. Got a new grill. Good for him. I'm reading some tweeters right now. Thanks for a few new follows there. Appreciate that. All right, caught up on the tweeters. Looking over here. All right, where are we at? All right, back to... Wait, I can't get back to the screen. There we go. So my mouse that I'm working with here, I can tell is kind of battery is dying. Don't you hate that when your cursor kind of sticks? I think I need a new battery. Yeah, WWE fan, I'm still on. Might as well just hang out. Got nothing else to do tonight. Playing it rather cool. We've been up for about 2 hours now, so I'll be signing off here very shortly here in just a couple of minutes. But thought I'd hang out and answer some more questions. We got a really good audience in here right now, so if you guys want to hang out and chat, I'll hang out and chat. I got an open beer. I'm not even in a hurry, except for my cat is hungry. Are you hungry, buddy? You've only had 5 pounds of food today. You must be starving. Oh, Orton mentioned it on his Instagram about Roman's teeth. Well, if any of you are on Twitter and you follow me, just shoot me a pic of the teeth. I don't have time to look it up right now because I'm streaming. But good for Roman. I've had some work done on my teeth a few times because when I was a kid, I got a gnarly bike accident, knocked all my teeth out, and they had to kind of put them back together. And then as an adult, I had them redone again. So I know all about that sort of thing. Dentists are not fun. 2013, that's right. God, it was that long ago. It still seems kind of recent. When Goldust and Cody won the tag belts. What other beers do I like besides Stella? I like IPAs. Like if I'm drinking like socially and I want to like kind of catch a quick buzz, I'll drink some IPAs. I like those. I like a lot of local stuff because we have great breweries here in San Diego. But for casual drinking, if I'm on a stream or just hanging out watching a game at home, I'm drinking Stella's. I'm drinking Especials or any sort of like just easy drinking type of Pilsner is my slow sipping beer. And then if I want to drink heavy, I don't like stouts. I can drink some lagers and some ambers, but I really don't like blondes. Like I don't like Blue Moon. Everybody loves Blue Moon. I don't. And I really don't like really thick stouts. We got this heavy chocolate stout on my menu right now at work, and people love it. Well, it's just too fucking heavy. I'm not trying to drink chocolate milk beer, So some of that stuff I don't really like. But other than that, I'll put down. Still got to get some Broken Skull IPA. I keep forgetting. I need to order some of that, and I'll enjoy some of those on a stream one night. Maybe if we do a stream on Austin's career or something like that, I'll make sure I order some Broken Skulls for that. Oh, really? You can tell just by looking at my thumbnail? Well, let me look at my thumbnail. I only saw it once. I haven't really looked. I can't see it. Oh, yeah, I guess so. I didn't notice. I didn't notice that. Huh. Yeah, I can see it now. Oh, yeah. What'd they look like before? Did he have a gap? He might have had a little gap. Interesting. Yeah, I don't like sours either, really, Naveed. Yeah, a lot of people love Blue Moon. Got to stick that orange slice in it, I guess I don't hate Blue Moon. I just don't drink them. So maybe I don't hate them. Every time I've tried one, they're not bad. But they're not like my go-to at all. Yeah, we're open. My restaurant is 90% outdoors, so I'm lucky. We're not only are we open, we're busy every day. So that is the universe doing me a solid by taking care of me, because without us having this availability, I'd be fine for a little while, off the unemployment and my savings, but the well would run dry, So the fact that I've got a working, functioning job and I have YouTube to back me up, I'm fortunate, very fortunate. Thank you for that, Ryan. I was wondering, it might have been you. Somebody tagged me in a post by Jerry the King Lawler that was involving Steve Austin, but I couldn't see it because Jerry the Butthole King Lawler blocked me on Twitter for some reason, and I never said a bad thing about the guy. So I'm blocked by Lawler. I'm blocked by the entire commentary team. Lawler, Cole, and JBL, I think all blocked me together at the same time. I don't know why. I've never been that harsh on any of those guys. Maybe Cole or JBL, but I've never said anything bad about Lawler. So he blocked me. So I couldn't even see what the tweet was about, and I don't have a burner account. I'm one of the few people that doesn't have a second Twitter. So it's not like I can go on somewhere else and look at it. I legitimately had no idea what that tweet was about. That explains it. It must be Lawler is guest on Austin's podcast next. That actually is going to be a good episode because Lawler's history, man, especially for young fans, y'all don't even know the half of it, man. You know, how far he goes back and how many stories he has had to tell and how many people that he has interacted with and helped make in the business. You know, I mean, Kamala just passed away, you know, a few days back. You know, Lawler was instrumental in that gimmick even becoming a thing, you know, in that story and stuff. So Lawler is, you know, plus all the work and the celebrity status that he had in his territory and all the championships he won, you know, and plus being on the business side of the business as well. And his relationship, you know, in and out of WWE and all. I mean, my God, there's so much meat on that bone. I don't know how they can fit it into one episode. Might have to be a two-parter. Maybe one part focused on his early days and then the other part focused on his WWE days. There's enough material for 2 shows, I think, at least with Lawler. Yeah, we still, right now, we still got to shut down at 10. There's a gray area there. We can technically keep people in our building until 11, until we really have to push them out. But yeah, like if you're a bar and stuff, like our bar next door that's open until 2 a.m., 365, even Christmas Day. It's connected to me. I know all the staff there. I've been having drinks there for years. They're friends of ours, and they are in trouble because all of their business, they make their money between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., and you have to close at 10 p.m. So they're able to be open during the day, and they do have some food there, but, you know, it's not like us where we have this big, elaborate, expensive menu with a great wine list. You know, they're more like pub food and stuff. So they're expected to make all their money just during the day like that, and it's hard for them. So the 10 o'clock thing sucks, but it has to be done because I understand, you know, when people go out, start drinking at bars, and they start getting a buzz, you know, their inhibitions go away, you know, them caring about being careful and wearing their mask and social distancing, that all just goes away once you got a buzz or once you're drunk, and then you don't give a shit and people make bad decisions, and that's how you spread the disease. So it's got to be that way, but it just sucks because it cripples the hospitality industry. So I'm just lucky that I'm outside. And a lot of places are. I live in San Diego, so a lot of places are outside here. Most places are. It never rains. It hasn't rained here 3 months, maybe. I haven't seen a drop of rain since maybe right after WrestleMania. Like all summer long, it hasn't rained at all. Nothing but clear skies and heat. What is my restaurant called? Taco Bell. All outside. No, I'm not giving that away. I can't have any of you guys showing up there. So, got to keep some of my private life private. Taco Bell. Magnum vs. Tully is Mike Witt's favorite match of all time. Wow. Yeah, favorite match of all time. It's always tough. I'm always going to go Brett and Owen. WrestleMania 10. Shawn and Taker 25. I loved. Savage Steamboat. I can probably think of a bunch. Yo, easy, buddy. All right, so we are probably going to be wrapping it up soon. Oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you for that. Who sent me that? Deshaun, thank you for that on Twitter. You put it side by side with a Brian Griffin shot of his grill. That's pretty funny. Oh, no, that's Orton's post. Excuse me. Ha! That is fucking hilarious. Yes, I agree. Randy Orton is undefeated on Instagram. I got to get on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram, y'all. How crazy is that? Is it too late to start? All right, like really late to the party? Will I even get any followers at this point if I start an account tomorrow? But RVD, I almost said RVD. Randy Orton posted a picture of Brian Griffin and says, "Was really nice seeing the big dog Roman Reigns back," and he's got sparkly teeth. That's pretty funny. Well, good for Roman with his new veneers. Those things ain't cheap. I'd probably say it probably rivals what a boob job would cost. Getting your whole mouth redone like that, it's expensive. Ha! Roman is wrecking everybody. Now he's leaving. That's funny. Glad to see Roman back. I was so happy to see him come in and hit The Fiend with that spear. Missed him. Missed Roman Reigns. He was needed. He was missed, believe it or not. Hey, I'm not talking to you. I'm trying to stream. My cat is becoming impatient, so I should probably cruise on out of here. Yeah, that's a good point about Magnum TA. I'm surprised he hasn't even made some sort of an appearance in AEW. Just sit in on commentary or, do something. I don't think he could really. Can he really walk around? He can walk all right, right? I don't think he would work in a managerial role. And I remember back when he was wrestling, he was much bigger and much more muscular, but he did look a lot like Jake, and even now in their old age, I think Jake and Magnum look very much alike, in terms of physically in the face and stuff. He should do something. The Psycho was hoping Sonya and Mandy would be better. I think under the circumstances, we should cut him some slack, I even said, prior to the match, I'm like, look, even if they shit the bed here, or they stink the joint out, give them a break, man. They had such a rough week. I was okay with the match. I will agree with you here, though. I thought we might see a little more than we did. The finish kind of caught me a little bit early. I'm like, oh, it's over. Maybe I thought they would get a little more vicious. I mean, they had some tables and chairs out there, so I'll definitely say that maybe they could have done more, but I wasn't disappointed with the match. I thought they both did well. But I don't think it would have hurt to have done more. Maybe I'll put it like that. But I certainly don't want to say a word negative about them after what they've been through. Randy Orton has a TikTok. That's fun. If Flair is out and about, Magnum can do the same. I was about to say, yeah, but they don't. I mean, the injuries are different, though. I mean, Flair survived a plane crash. Magnum was not so lucky, and he had to retire. So I'm just saying physically, with whatever's still wrong from him, whatever's still wrong with him from that crash. I didn't know how he can move around or how mobile he is these days. I don't really know. Who is it? Fucking How Weezy probably knows. I haven't seen him in here tonight. One of our moderators. He goes to a million wrestling conventions. I don't think there's anybody out there he hasn't met. So if you ever need to know, hey, what's this person like? Just ask him. But I don't see him in the chat here tonight. I don't see any mods in the chat. Oh, wait, Barry, I think, was here. So I have some police. But I haven't had to police anybody. That's why these chats are awesome. These streams are awesome, because we don't have any dick bags coming in here very often, I should say. I'm the leader of Retribution. Do I need to get Retribution on WWE? If I do, it would only be for some of the... it would have to be for Goldberg and The Fiend in Saudi Arabia. That's what I want Retribution for. And maybe the screw job. Because if the screw job wouldn't happen, I firmly believe that Owen Hart would be alive today. So I might want Retribution for that. Yeah, sorry, Curtis, no Blue Moon. I'm really sorry to shit on Blue Moon, because Blue Moon's a very popular and delicious beer. I know my girlfriend loves Blue Moon, and I just said bad things about Blue Moon, so I apologize. I take it back. No, did not mean to offend. I'm a fan of beer in general. If you like beer, I like you. Enlightened Comedy, no offense to his return from leukemia, but this was the most excited I've ever been to see Roman Reigns. Yeah, same. I was very excited to see him come back so soon after the leukemia battle. That was a very heartwarming moment to see him come back, and I think we were all happy for it. But in terms of the excitement of what he can do in the future, because when he came back from leukemia, it's like, okay, Roman is back now. But we know WWE is going to continue on the normal Roman trend. This felt different. This felt like he's going to come in with a different type of attitude, with a different type of direction, maybe even with a different type of look. And if all three of those things happen, I think it's going to be much easier for us to tolerate Roman, or maybe for y'all to tolerate Roman. I'm fine with Roman. But the fans that, blow their stack, shit in their hands, and eat it over Roman Reigns winning matches, those are the ones that I think might have a little bit better of a time dealing with him on TV and matches like that, to where, if he's a compelling character and he's doing compelling things on TV, there's nothing wrong with him winning matches. I can't believe Roman won again. So what? He's fucking over, or whatever. So if he gets over, then he can win as much as he wants. I think that'll, like I said, that'll make it easier for the fans to stomach him, The big dog is the big show. I think Braun Strowman is the big show more than the big dog. All right. So I think that catches up. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any other super chats, because I always feel like an asshole whenever I miss one. I think I got them all. And yeah, we had a good, solid, nearly 3-hour stream, probably 2.5 hours we went tonight, so a little bit longer than normal. And you're going to get me again. We'll be back up here tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw, or after Monday Night Raw. So, like I said, if you're a new watcher or a new listener, make sure you subscribe. Tune in here to the YouTube channel tomorrow. Immediately following Raw, we'll talk about it. Hopefully, we'll have some good fallout from what we saw tonight. Maybe some new storyline directions, some new contenders. Hopefully, we'll also find out who Bayley and Sasha's tag team title opponents are going to be. If I had to guess, and I had to put money on it right now, I'm going Shayna and Asuka. But it could be a completely different team. But I think you need to keep the ball rolling here with the Sasha and Bayley split. And for them to drop the belts now at Payback, that's really going to add weight to their tension. And they are headed for an implosion. And that's when I think Sasha can take the belt away from Bayley down the road. So we'll see. They got to do a fallout and have all sorts of repercussions from what we saw tonight. And at the same time, have themselves a go-home show to Payback, which no matches are announced for. Good luck, WWE. So luckily, at least that means tomorrow night when we're here for Raw, there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. And that's good. So I will catch you guys tomorrow night. See you in 24 hours. Have a great rest of your night. And thank you for hanging out tonight. It was a lot of fun as always. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Y'all be good. Peace.